and welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 59. It is the Retrocast. I'm your host, JD. This is Peter Pan wins 19 title at King of Gate. Yes, it's a long title, but we got a lot of wrestling to talk about on this episode. Welcome. Big news from the Red Leaf Retrocast. We have officially joined the Retrocast, anyways. The SOS network from LK Loudmouth Wrestling. So if you are joining via that network, welcome. If you're joining from the regular sources via our brand new website at redleafretrocast.blogspot.com, welcome to there. I appreciate all the looks and views, and got some good feedback on my previous little Wrestler Rankings report that I did for the previous episode. So look forward to some more quick thoughts, quick notes over the best wrestlers of the year in 2020 so far over at the website. That's redleafretrocast.blogspot.com. You can follow this podcast over on the Twitter at BowlingJD, or just use the hashtag RedLeafRetrocast. I will see all of the feedback and nice little things you guys have been saying on the line. For this episode today, we got some recommended matches from outside promotions. I will get to that in one hot second. But just to run down the agenda for today, I got a little conversation going over AEW and kind of what they've done since they've hit their little 1-year anniversary. My mom will, of course, join me as usual for the Dynamite recap section, get our nice little opinions there from the June 3rd and June 10th show. And then that will follow into the Wrestling War. Hasn't been much of a war so far this year, but some promotions are keeping it 50-50 nonetheless. We got the Joshi War continuing here with Ice Ribbon keeping their dojo shows. This episode will not cover the June 13th big match, Suzu versus Maya, at Yokohama, their first match with fans in quite some time. 100 people showed up in attendance for that one. That will be in the next episode. This one is all about the conclusion of the Juku title tournament. So look forward to the big match for the next one. If you follow me on Twitter, you can, or join our Discord. Just hit me up on Twitter there to get access. We had a little watch party for that, so that's nice. After Ice Ribbon, we'll go into DDT and their big Peter Pan show, in which my mom will be, that is her new promotion of the month of June. Get her thoughts over the epic battle from Peter Pan of Yoshihiko and Takashita in their last man standing match and more. Dragon Gate will follow that. They finished off the big King of Gate tournament. Who got the big push and rub heading into Kobe World and beyond? Find out for that section. So if you're a Dragon Gate fan, look forward to that. New Japan has announced they are returning to the wrestling world after February, March, April, May. 4 whole months, basically, with the announcement of a special show in the New Japan Cup. So just for fun, since we haven't talked New Japan in ages, I'm going to do a little prediction section for that one. And then, of course, this wouldn't be the Retrocast without retro wrestling. We continuing on with the All Japan Women Classics from Puroresu Dream and Samurai TV. Got episode 22 there. We got New Japan through the 90s continuing on. Currently in 1992, we're doing the February 8th show at the Sapporo Nakajima Sports Center. And then finally rounding out the podcast with, yes, we have finally reached it. It's World War III from 1998 from WCW. And what a show that was. Lots to talk about there. Very excited. And of course, find out who the wrestlers of the last 2 weeks were, where they rank. And then if you want to see the standings and some thoughts, once again, head on over to the website, redleafretrocast.blogspot.com, to get some thoughts and a nice little visual rather than listening to this sultry voice of mine. And without further ado, be sure you share the podcast right away. all your favorite social medias, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, and obviously tag me at BowlingJD. So let's get into the recommended matches from outside promotions. And with that, let's crack the beverage of the podcast. Let's see. I'm still going through my White Claw and Trulies. I got a nice little mango Truly here for the podcast today. That is wonderful. Right on the mic table. Hope you guys enjoyed that little bump. All right. Gatoh Move. Yes, it's back on the podcast. I end up watching 3 Choco Pro Live shows based on recommended from the listeners. We got Choco Pro Live 16, 17, and 19. And in that order, we start out with the 20-minute draw from Mei Suruga versus Asuka. That is all caps Asuka. So there's no confusion there. Not that there should be. So it's interesting that they went to this 20-minute draw, being that Mei Suruga's kind of the big star of the promotion outside of the Emi Sakuras of the world. Asuka's a very interesting case from the in-ring standpoint. And of course, this is Gatoh Move, so I use the in-ring kind of in loose quotes there. Mei Suruga's Mei Suruga, a spunky ball of energy, doing all her things that she does. But Asuka's kind of the focus here for this match, being she's kind of erratic in this environment, kind of letting Mei run around doing her moves, and then she kind of falls where need be. So the way it worked was very interesting with how they were able to run a lot of the near falls. Asuka didn't work heel nor face. It was just an interesting dynamic between the two, and it really opened my eyes to the type of wrestler Asuka is, and how much just cardio and stamina Asuka has in the ring. And with Mei Suruga's energy levels, it could be quite hard to lock up. So I expect to see more of Asuka in Gatoh Move going forward. Then the next match was, you want to talk about an erratic filler. It is the Mei Suruga versus Yuna Mizumori 30-minute Iron Man match. Yuna wins after Yuna wins at a mark of 4-3 after blowing a 3-1 lead. Now, not saying this match didn't have the necessary drama to kind of keep you into it. I never felt bored during this. Just the way Yuna Mizumori was working in this match, she is the workhorse of Gatoh Move. That is kind of what I see her as. She would, if I thought Asuka was a little bit erratic in the match, Yuna kind of dialed that up to 12. Didn't really gather that there was a whole lot of strategy here. Mei Suruga just, working from underneath. She lost the lead, so that her story was there. In Yuna's case, I never got the feeling that she was trying to... Obviously, she's trying to win, but I never got the feeling she was trying to protect the lead, trying to keep Mei specifically from fighting back. There was just a lot missing there to keep me invested on her side of the match story, while Mei's was totally front and center from beginning to end. It was still very, very, it was still a fun watch. They hit all their key moves, so it's always the environment of Ichigai Chocolate Square that kind of always keeps you invested, whether they're jumping in and out of the windows, on the windows, Mei Suruga trying lucha moves off walls and whatnot. That part is always interesting no matter how you look at it. But the big main event was definitely the start of their little Season 2 of Choco Pro Live, and that's Mei Suruga versus Chris Brooks. Yes, it's an intergender match. However, Chris Brooks seems to have this running rivalry with Joshi wrestlers, at least in the recently, whether it's tagging with Maki Ito in DDT, whether it's he just had a big match recently against Mitsuru Kono, and they always seem to start these off with Twitter, with him kind of faking being best friends, or he hates them, and then the Joshi wrestler's like, I don't know why he hates me so much. Excuse me. So, the rivalry is always funny. And then Mei is kind of embracing all that. You're seeing a lot more of her comical side, yet mixed in with the serious. So they start off with May kind of cutting up her goofy promo that she does, and she's got a basketball. Then she turns the basketball around, and it's got Chris Brooks' face on it. And she's hitting it. She's throwing it against the wall. It's really funny. It's adorable type anger. And then Brooks has a shirt that says "Death by Roll Up" on it. He claims that he's gonna fight fair and clean. He's turned over a new leaf. So their story was right there. And then, of course, as the match goes on, he hasn't really turned over a new leaf. The big moment that a lot of people has probably seen on Twitter already is there's an I-beam in Ichigaya, and there's a hook on the I-beam, and Chris somehow hooks May up to this hook on the I-beam, and he pushes her across, and it's the most hilarious visual you can imagine, where she's stuck there, and then Chris just pulls an inflatable tube and just bashes her with it, and everything just works in such unison and comedy that he's just bashing her with this inflatable tube, and it's not so much she's selling, but it's just like, she's hitting me with it. It's absolutely hysterical, because you don't believe for 1 second she's actually getting hurt, but it looks like she's more annoyed while she's stuck up there. It's hilarious. And then the rest of the match from there, as it gets closer and closer to that 20-minute draw, Mei Suruga's hitting near falls, always getting closer and closer. But unfortunately, Brooks at the end hooks in the octopus stretch and forces Mei to tap out with 2 seconds left before the draw, and she's just devastated. Everybody in Ichigaya, including Aki, he's kind of the English translator and wrestler himself, he's telling her 2 more seconds she had it, just really rubbing it in, but not trying to situation. Really funny. She's absolutely distraught. She's sitting down on the mat, throwing the basketball against the wall. It's one of the most fun matches you could probably see from Gatoh Move in recent episodes. It's got both the comedy, the entertainment, and the serious factor all in one match. It's absolutely great. It's a big recommendation from me. So, if you couldn't tell, yes, that's 3 straight matches from Mei Suruga. Shouldn't be a surprise. She's a big future star of not just the Joshi scene, but I think of the Japanese wrestling scene that's building more and more each day. She's gonna break out of Gatoh Move eventually. I think it's inevitable. She has too much star power to unlock, and unfortunately, hey, Gatoh Move's got a ceiling, and I would expect her to show up in AEW at some point, especially with the whole connection that they have. And with that, I will play the music, and that'll take us into AEW with my mom. And the next time you hear me solo, we'll be talking Ice Ribbon. So once again, if you're listening from whatever podcast you are, be sure to share the podcast on all the social medias. Be sure to tag at BowlingJD, that's me, and the podcast. And hey, I'm very happy to be on the new outlet from LK. He was kind enough to invite the podcast on here from LK Wrestling. He's been on the podcast before. It's been a while. And hope everyone enjoys the SOS Wrestling podcast. I'm a frequent listener myself. I don't comment on all the videos, but hey. If you are interested in more than just wrestling over on whether it's my YouTube channel or Spotify or whatever, hey, we got gaming, we got anime, and that's where you can find all our past wrestling episodes. So if you like the retro stuff, you can follow along with all the Nitros and All Japan Women Classics, whatever you might. So yes, let's play this music and get on with the podcast.
Boom, boom, Cocabana, boom, boom, Cocabana, boom, boom, Cocabana, it's Cocabana. Straight out of the shy, Mr. Shaker.
All right, that's enough of that, Colt Cabana. I didn't realize his theme song has that pause at like the 10-second mark. I was like, oh, this is over, and then it busts out into this wild beat.
It's first thing for everything, right?
Yeah. AEW, we're back, Mom.
Yay!
Okay.
I made your day choosing that one, didn't I?
I suppose you did. June 3rd, Dynamite number 35, and June 10th, Dynamite number 36 is what we're going over today. How about that?
Works for me, buddy.
So before we get into this, I was curious, because coming off of Double or Nothing, it's the 1 year mark officially since AEW has been a thing, right?
We said that.
Right.
At Double or Nothing, it was a 1 year thing, yeah.
So, their original mission statement said they wanted to be... I have this in my notes here. They wanted to use the term sports-centric and was being pushed as a play against sports entertainment. And they used it as a concentrated focus. You know, they wanted to do more sports-oriented stuff over sports entertainment stuff. Okay? And there's various quotes you can find from, be it Tony Khan, Cody, and company. They all kind of say the same thing around that regard. Sports-centric over sports entertainment. They didn't disregard sports entertainment, as in what WWE does with telling the stories, the promos, etc., because that's a part of wrestling's more or less history, across from the NWA era, AWA, you name it. They just wanted to concentrate more on the sports word over the entertainment word. That's what I gathered from all of the interviews that I read from a year ago.
Okay.
And I posted them on Twitter at BowlingJD, where you can see all these clips, because I've noticed on a lot of the podcasts and journalists that I listen to over wrestling, the ones that dislike AEW are really, really hung up on the concentration of sports-centric. They all say AEW is not sports-centric. They lied in their mission statement. They can't get away from that word, and it's become kind of like a Mandela effect among the people that dislike AEW, right? And for those that don't know, the Mandela effect is it's almost like the Luke, I am your father, but he never actually said those exact words, or the Berenstain Bears instead of the Berenstein Bears. That's the Mandela effect, right? You get it in your head that something is a certain way based on public perception, right?
Sure.
So I did a little research into what's considered the sports-centric over the entertainment. And one thing that they did say in their mission statement was they wanted to concentrate on more wrestling. So more wrestling than other Western promotions, okay?
Sure.
And just in 2020, I took a lot of numbers from the 2-hour programs that we can compare to, okay? That's AEW's 2-hour program, to WWE's SmackDown, which is on Friday nights, 2-hour program, to Impact Wrestling's 2-hour program. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
So I made a graph and accumulated all the wrestling minutes in their 2-hour programs. All commercials are pretty much the exact same. Yes.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
And all the commercials are essentially the same times, because that's required throughout all television. Right.
Right.
So that was no different between the three wrestling shows. Okay. However, surprisingly enough, AEW comes out to about 52 minutes or more on average in a 2-hour wrestling show of in-ring wrestling time. Okay?
Sure.
Impact's 2020 numbers are almost identical to WWE, and that's both SmackDown and NXT. NXT is the head-to-head show with AEW. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So 52.6 is the 2020 number. NXT is 45 minutes and 6 seconds. Impact is an average of 46 minutes, so it's barely a minute more than NXT. That's why it's pretty much identical, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I did notice with Impact is before the pandemic, there were only 39 minutes on average.
Wow.
And during the pandemic, they're 52 minutes on average. So in one way, they were more entertainment, and since the pandemic started, they're more AEW with the wrestling. That was just kind of an observation I made based on the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The SmackDown numbers, 36 minutes on a 2-hour show of wrestling.
No freaking way.
Yeah, significantly less.
Wow.
And when I looked at the pandemic numbers, okay, when the pandemic started, that's about week 11.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed a flip-flop in NXT and SmackDown. SmackDown has, over time, increased how much wrestling they're putting on the TV. They've gone from about the 30-minute mark closer up to the 46, while NXT has gone down from the 46 range to the 39. They've completely flip-flopped between the two shows.
Wow.
While
Wow.
AEW has consistently done about 52 minutes. And you can see whichever show doesn't reach that. It's always with a main event that's a go-home show for a pay-per-view or some big angle they want to run, such as the Jericho-Tyson thing, the Moxley-Jericho weigh-in right before the pay-per-view.
Sure.
They're extremely consistent on when they do this. And that, so if I take those out, it's still about the 52.
Okay.
Yeah, if not more. So,
Yeah.
Just from a numbers comparison, AEW has in fact way more wrestling than the entertainment part. So again, SmackDown 36 minutes to AEW's 52. So they are indeed
for a 2-hour show.
for a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
so
all you get.
You almost get an hour of wrestling on AEW with just over half an hour on SmackDown.
Right.
And then sort of in between with the NXT and Impact.
And this is what people like. I think that's why they watch
Well,
SmackDown,
well.
because they like commercials and a lot of smack talk.
Well, that's kind of
Apparently.
that's what you've been complaining about for 20 years,
Yeah.
why you don't watch
Yeah.
wrestling. It's just a lot of talking, and
Yeah,
the numbers
it's
don't
bullshit.
lie.
It's all bullshit.
The numbers
and,
don't lie.
Great numbers, because I didn't need the numbers to tell me that, but now the numbers confirm it. And because that's exactly right. I mean, God, and who likes that?
a lot of people do, apparently.
I know a lot of people do, but and I think they don't even realize what they're missing. I mean, you're missing a lot of wrestling, and you just want to listen to people talk smack all the time. I mean, that's not wrestling. That's not wrestling.
Well, what certainly isn't wrestling is pee being thrown in people's faces on Fox on SmackDown. A bowling segment on Raw that infuriated me to no end, where they weren't actually bowling. The scores were fake, and they weren't even added up correctly. So that infuriated me on no end, because bowling, obviously. But that's a side note. Mom, what happened on Dark?
Oh, we're taking a left turn. Okay.
Yeah, I thought those numbers were very interesting. Get it out there.
They are very interesting. I mean, and I'm glad you brought it up, because you've got these naysayers of AEW, and they pick such a stupid thing to even pick on. Whatever. They're just there you go. They like to talk smack because that's what they like to watch. Smack talk. They don't like wrestling. They just like to talk smack and listen to it. So, there you go. There's your reason why that's the thing they look at. Words.
Yeah. Well, they also tend to focus on Chris Statlander being an alien, the gimmick, Matt Hardy, changing characters like multiple personality disorder doesn't exist in reality, which it does.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Absolutely.
It's a real thing, and yet they're like, well, that's
It
not
is
real.
a real thing. Well, again, they just like to talk smack. So there you go. They like wrestling to be, well, I take it back. They like smack, they like lip wrestling. That's it.
One way to look at it.
Yeah,
So yeah,
they
back.
like
What
lip
happened?
wrestling.
What happened on Dark? You watched Dark.
I haven't watched AEW Dark since I got so engrossed in AEW, and so the reason why I wanted to watch AEW Dark was because my fave Moxley was going to be on AEW Dark, so I watched the whole thing just to see my guy. And
Sounds like a wrestling fan.
right. I was very saddened by how quiet it was, and it was very dark.
Well, you don't say.
And I really miss my just somebody being around, yelling for the guys. I did like the fact I really liked seeing up and coming wrestlers wrestling with name guys, and that I really did like. Really did enjoy it, and of course meeting number 5 to the Dark Order. Because
Did someone say Dark Order?
Join the Dark Order.
Minions are growing. Who turns out to be Alan Angels?
Yes.
Yeah. I can take it or leave it. Dark Order's. I'm not even going there. Taz, and I don't know. Do I need to go through all the players of Dark of AEW Dark?
No. Did you enjoy your Moxley match at least?
I did enjoy my Moxley match, but I think Taz just needs to shut up. Also, he's obnoxious on AEW Dark. I can do without Taz's smack talking.
I was kind of afraid of that because in the old TNA days, when he was an announcer, they made him a bad guy announcer who was always kind of cutting promos as the commentator. And that got quite aggravating, and I was afraid that that's kind of where he's at with AEW Dark, and you kind of just
and that. Well, and what's happened is he has the Wolverine in the background, standing there watching Moxley.
Oh, so he came out and watched the match on Dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I guess that changes a little bit of the perception, though. At least in that.
But after listening to him up until that point, I'm like, God, he just needs to shut the fuck up. I mean, I'm just like, God dang it, dude,
I don't think you're the only one with that opinion of him.
And then when it came out for Moxley to, go up against Robert Anthony, he's from Joliet, Illinois, by the way.
Am I supposed to know where that is?
No. You know what? I have lived in Texas longer now than I lived in Illinois.
Oh.
And I was born and raised in Illinois.
There you
and
go.
Now Texas has taken over my lifespan.
Are you saying y'all on the regular now?
Go on the feeder. But at that point, when Moxley came out to wrestle, I just wanted Taz to shut the fuck up at this point. I wanted to watch wrestling. I don't want to listen to this numbnut sitting, in the background talking about, Cage can do this and Cage can do that. And just wait till Cage comes out and shows Moxley what to do. I'm like, good. Yeah, in his New York accent. And, he sounds like he's, going to get him. I'm like, oh God, shut the fuck up. I just,
cracking me up here.
and Moxley, I kind of wish it was a long match, and I think he let Robert Anthony do too many things to him, because then he comes out on Wednesday and he's like, my back hurts, my ass hurts, I can't sit on the toilet and all this shit. If you would have seen him on AEW Dark, I was shocked, that he let himself get as beat up as he did.
Well, they did. To be fair, they did build that match as two guys that know each other very well, and they haven't wrestled each other in 10 years, and so they were both going all out against each other. They did build it up to where it wouldn't be a squash match kind of situation.
Okay, well, and it did very well at that then, because
cool.
Did
its job.
Yeah, it did its job. But I just wish Taz would shut the fuck up.
Well, the thing, I mean, we've mentioned this on the podcast before, is you're not going to get your atypical squash matches in AEW. Mm-hmm. If a new guy comes in, he's another wrestler. He's not just some job guy, right? Mm-hmm. You might get a few moves in. One guy might be better than another, and you'd be like, hey, maybe like Alan Angels, great example. He got a lot on Kenny Omega. He's not he's not nobody anymore. He's now somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what this opponent versus Moxley, I guess, would be taken as. He knows Moxley more than, say, the usual job guy.
I thought it was a show-off match. I called it a show-off match because Moxley should have, put it away much sooner.
Match.
It was a long match. It was, but it was a main event, and now that I know some of the other stuff, I get that. But all in all, I do like AEW Dark. I can't wait for audiences to come back for that particular show.
Well, they're coming back in Japan. They're in phase 1 now with very limited audiences, and by the end of July, they should be a third capacity back. So
cool. Okay.
We'll see what happens in the United States of America, but
well,
who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Well, let's quickly go through these two Dynamite shows.
Sure.
Shall we?
Shall we? We shall.
A lot of people
I got a 4-star on that show.
Ooh. So let me go through the results, and then for both shows, right fast, and we can get into our thoughts and whatnot, because I don't have too much to say over a lot of them.
Okay.
So June 3rd, the results were the Elite, Page and Omega defeat Superbad Death Squad, Havoc and Sabian. Brian Cage kills Sean Dean. Chris Jericho with Hager and Guevara defeats Colt Cabana. Nyla Rose defeats Big Swole. And Cody defeats Jungle Boy in the main event to retain the TNT title. And then the results from June 10th were the debut of Efter, I like calling him. Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, they defeat Butcher and the Blade. Nyla Rose and Penelope Ford defeated Sheeta and Statlander. Penelope Ford pinned
Not
Sheeta.
Happy.
The best friends
winners
defeated the Inner Circle team of Hager, Ortiz, and Santana. Sammy Guevara defeated Colt Cabana, so Colt Cabana loses 2 in a row. That is notable for what we'll talk about in a second here. And then Cody defended the TNT title in the main event for the second week in a row, really putting himself out there with his neck tattoo. Defeated Mark Quinn. Those are our results. The matches themselves. So these were 2 shows building towards Fyter Fest. Fyter Fest, as we know, will be too big for just one night. It'll be 2 weeks in July.
Yeah, and the thing I like about what's going to be coming up, though, is that every championship is on the line. That's awesome. And it's not going to cost anybody anything to watch.
No, well, Fyter Fest was free last year, and they're making it on TNT this year, which is a cool little special. Nothing wrong with that. 2 shows strictly built to building the stories up, building your contenders. One thing I'm seeing a lot of on the line, Mother,
yes,
is the continual. How do I phrase this? Omega and Page have to defend the title all the way up until Fyter Fest, And the best friends have to defend their number one contendership spot until Fyter Fest to get that big Fyter Fest money match. I find interesting. So anyone who has kind of a top ranked spot in that 2, 3, 4 position, seemingly the number 2 spot can challenge the tag champions, which we'll see next week as the Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall will take on Page and Omega for the tag titles, and then I believe the best friends have to defend their spot. They're making a point of this.
The sex gods?
The sex gods, yeah.
Yeah?
I think that's the case. They have to defend
their title, really?
They have to defend their spot at Fyter Fest. So the story I'm taking from the sports-oriented outlook is you build up your rank so you can challenge these two guys, and it's not exactly clear, but that's what I'm taking it from. That in order to get to your money match, you have to defend your spot. It reminds me of when we would play like 3-on-3 basketball through for the teams, and you go through a gauntlet trying to maintain your position until you get to. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah,
but it's not exactly coming off clear on TV.
Gotcha.
It just seems like why are the number 2 guys getting the title shot before the number 1 contenders all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
What do you think of this development with the tag title situation?
Interesting. Because, for Fyter Fest, you have Page and Omega is going to be versing Best Friends, so I don't think the Best Friends have to defend their title against the Sex Gods next week. Because that's what you're saying, right?
That's what I took from it.
No.
I don't know if that's exactly clear, though.
No, that's not going to happen next week because I don't know what week Fyter Fest for Page and Omega versus Best Friends, but that was one of the first ones that I wrote down that's going to be on Fyter Fest for the tag team.
Yeah.
Match.
Well, I suppose anyone. Well, here's the other thing.
Best Friends and the Sex Gods are going to meet next week, but it's not going to be a title match.
But the question is, what if they lose? Do they lose their spot? It's very possible.
If Best Friends loses against the Sex Gods?
Yeah. Because if Omega and Page lose the titles, they lose the big money match at Fyter Fest. Yeah. Anyways.
Well, because next week it's Omega, Page, and QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes next week too.
Yeah, correct.
But it's not a title match next week for that either, is it?
Yes,
is that what you're telling me?
Yes, it is. Because Dustin cut a promo,
and then you have Young Bucks and Sabian and Havoc.
Yes, because after Butcher and Blade match, Young Bucks came out, introduced themselves as the best tag team in the world. No titles, mind you, but they're the best according to them.
Yes, of course.
And that's when the Super Bad Death Squad jumps them from behind to kind of set up that match. So,
okay.
AEW is usually very clear on sending up matches for next week. There's a reason why these are generally happening.
Yeah. Because I had just finished watching just before you called me to say, you ready? And I'm like, and I just finished watching because I had 2 people call me and each one took an hour to talk to. So I was very busy today. And I go, dang, I had 1 match left. And I'm looking at the clock going, shit, and I couldn't say goodbye because I just couldn't. And then another call came, and I'm talking to that, and I go, "Oh my God, no one ever calls me." And then they got to call me when I'm on my last match, and I was ready to, just take 5, and then you call me, and you ready? I'm like, okay, let's do this. Okay, well, I guess I missed it. So if it happens, it happens. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well,
so go ahead.
Well, one thing they're clearly building up is Efter taking on the Young Bucks, probably at All Out. I'm just going to call him Efter. I like saying it more.
After?
Yeah, instead of FTR.
FTR?
Efter.
Well, or
it's my thing. Don't take it away from me.
After? Well, like fuck the rest.
Well, I mean, that one too.
Or what's the other one? Oh, follow the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I really like that tag match between Efter and Butcher and Blade.
They got 4 stars for me. I really enjoyed it.
That was the one. Okay.
Yes, that was the one. It was, to me, that was all about wrestling. Really exciting. It was almost like watching DDT, just nonstop, going. Really, there was no downtime. I really enjoyed that match. That
just like DDT.
I was like,
that's something I wouldn't hear very often.
I know, right? Oh, I liked it.
Yeah.
Very much so. What's the other one?
Well, it's just a note from that match. AEW made it clear that Tully, Arn Anderson, and Jake Roberts were watching on in the background. So they're really hinting at a manager for Efter to take over. And one thing that isn't a coincidence is Cody made a reference to the 4 Horsemen a couple weeks prior to that. And Sean Spears got a black glove, which is an old Horseman type thing. So they're really hinting.
It all come together.
They're really hinting at a 4 Horseman type group coming into play in AEW. And Arn Anderson and Tully were part of the original Horseman group, just to mind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other match that I actually thought was pretty good, because I was finally seeing Cabana wrestle, and you know, I liked that match.
Which one? Cabana or Sammy, or Cabana?
No, with Jericho and Cabana.
Okay.
And you know, it was pretty good because I was finally getting to see Cabana actually wrestle. You know, it was actually a decent match.
Well, you saw him wrestle against Lance Archer.
Really?
Okay, fine. He did get killed a little bit, but
what?
I like the story with Colt Cabana, kind of down on his luck. He's kind of reached that peak in his career. Now he's slower. He's getting a little older. You know, they're telling that story. And then after the Jericho match, he's kind of hinted for the Dark Order to kind of give him a water bottle. He's like, I would never do that, and he thinks about it. And then after he loses to Sammy Guevara, after he slips on the ropes, mind you, because something he used to do on the younger days, but he's old, so commentary really kind of...
Well, he did that twice.
Yeah, commentary really put that
last
out.
Week too.
Yeah, and then Mr. Brody Lee comes over, gives him a helps him up, and then walks away, and then he goes back in the dressing room and goes in there. So, gotta get... What do you think of Colt Cabana possibly joining the Dark Order?
Join the Dark Order.
I like it all. Colt Cabana has his own shtick, and I just don't think that he belongs in the Dark Order.
So he's kind of this comedy, not serious guy, and they're not really doing much with him, but this story and the Dark Order keeps adding people. Yeah.
So I suppose he could turn. He could turn.
The numbers game.
Dick.
The numbers game could be the winning formula. It's a great mid-card act that could turn into a main event, given the right little tidbits here and there.
Yeah.
It's not quite there yet. But they're building to it, so I'm okay with this. Especially if this leads to Evil Uno and Grayson winning the tag titles at some point, then it'd be all worth it.
Evil Uno.
Unfortunately, we have some bad news. I have to tell you, Mother, as my phone is suddenly lighting up. So during the women's tag match from the 10th. Do you remember the spot where Chris Statlander dove through the ropes and took out Kip Sabian?
Yeah.
She tore her ACL. she's basically out for the rest of the year.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know it when she did the match either.
No. But that's what happened. The news came out today.
Oh,
she put it out on her own Twitter account. Very unfortunate. Penelope Ford is probably set up to, it's a tag match. Shida has a losing record in tag matches as far as I'm concerned in 2020.
Yeah,
always
you're
with
right
Nyla
about that.
Always with Nyla Rose involved. So that's 3 for 3 for Nyla. So this is a sports-oriented story. I will emphasize that. And Penelope Ford did get the pin. There was chicanery involved.
Oh, and I did listen to the podcast with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Statlander. And what a great story. It was a great podcast. I really enjoyed listening to that. And actually, I continued on with listening to the podcast. And I actually, unfortunately, it put me to, it lulled me to sleep.
Well, that's okay.
Listening to Paige and how he came about.
Yeah, no, I like the unrestricted.
Cool.
I like the unrestricted podcast. It's got a little bit of humor, a little bit of background.
Yeah, and learning. I had no idea that Paige was so intelligent.
That's funny.
And how he, went and taught at the age of 18, and taught school and was a teacher for a while, and just really cool listening to to that podcast. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad you gave me heads up on that. Listening to Chris Statlander and how she came about, and she's, oh my God, I'm so sad to hear that.
Thursday.
Yeah,
that begs the question now. Well, they got the Britt Baker continuing storyline going on of her and her Rolls Royce.
Two goodies out.
Yeah, her and her Rolls Royce.
Yeah, well, maybe Kristen will
back it up, Reba.
Maybe they'll have a rehab match.
Oh my God, that would be hilarious. They have like a wheelchair race.
Yeah, do a rehab match.
Oh, that would be really funny. But okay, so we got Penelope Ford getting a little push. Nothing wrong with that. I don't expect her to win. I expect Big Swole will get some more TV time.
Isn't Penelope Ford very gymnastic-y?
Yeah, she has a gymnastic background.
I know. It's like Chris Statlander.
With all the Joshi wrestlers stuck in Japan for the time being, and Shauna stuck in France and B in England, this gives some interesting opportunities for people like Christy Jane. Hopefully they went through with signing her. Anna Jay, who they did sign, could get some more ring time. That would be really cool. They could keep doing these tag matches and keep building something up between Shida and Ford, or Shida and Rose, or whatever. There's a number of things they can do with these rookies, and the rookies keep losing over and over again. I'd be very okay with that.
Yeah. So I do have a 3-star match.
Oh, which one was that?
The Butcher Blade and FTR.
No, you gave that 4-star.
No, I gave 4-star to the match on last week with the Sabian Page.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I quite like
that. But the FTR and Butcher Blade, I gave them 3.
Oh,
it was not as action packed. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I really did. I love that AEW kicks it off with something powerful.
They do that every week, and they build up a main event every week.
I really do like it.
Yeah.
And it really puts some momentum into the rest of this show.
Yeah. And, well, what I like is the difference in styles all the time. Mm-hmm. So you have, after Butcher and the Blade, they're very grounded. They're more by the rules, while you got the Lucha Brothers, who are very Lucha based, of course.
Sure.
You have the Young Bucks that are very Dragon Gate style, which we saw. Mm-hmm. Havoc and Sabian are kind of that European catch spot type wrestling. So there's a lot of different styles in there. Now, if you're a stickler for everyone's got to follow the rules and have this structure, hey, then there's a tag team for you. That's FTR and Butcher and Blade, right?
Yeah.
You will get different styles of these tag teams. I quite like the variety. You are always guaranteed a different kind of match with all of these guys.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We went through the women. We went through Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho feud building towards Fyter Fest. So what did you think?
Well,
so the short story is the Best Friends and the Inner Circle had a very fun trios match, and it ends with Cassidy doing the revival pin on Ortiz, and then Jericho rushes off commentary, and the Inner Circle just beats those dudes up.
That was hysterical.
The bat hits Cassidy, busts him open, and then they pull out a bunch of oranges and batter Orange Cassidy with them. Juice just everywhere. He's beaten to a bloody pulp with the blood oranges. Really, it's
bloody Orange Cassidy.
It's super. It's comical. It's a beatdown. It's serious. It's everything Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle are.
And actually, I thought that Cassidy, did pretty good wrestling in this ring with everyone.
Absolutely, low key, the Best
really
Friends are one of the best tag team group acts in 2020.
It was fun.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
So this begs the question. Let's assume Omega Page and the Best Friends, they all make it to Fyter Fest to face each other. Do we conceivably see the Best Friends taking the titles from Omega and Page?
I hope not.
I think it's possible.
You're right. It is possible. Only if Page and Omega let it happen. They seem to be on a roll together. Even though Page came out with a cocktail, that's not very promising. I'm seeing kind of this little wedge going on again between the two, and I hope not. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they're chilling in the back, drinking. Omega's got his milk, and Page got his drink. You okay there? You gonna cough up a lung?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
I hope not, because we're finally getting back together. I would like to see them back together. The separation's been long enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to play anymore with that idea.
Okay.
Let Best Friends be in a fight for a while, We're not best friends anymore.
Oh. I don't think Omega and Page are going to lose the titles. I think if they want to keep the tag titles as this top tier main event style thing, you keep them on Omega and Page. You have a great main event match on like night one with the Best Friends, and you get
I'm hoping it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great match.
Absolutely.
Either way, it's going to be a great match. It'll be a lot of fun. They don't to them.
We got two more things to talk about here. One is the continuation of Brian Cage and Taz against Jon Moxley, in which I really like how this is building. They've already made Brian Cage the made man. He's the number one contender situation with the chip, and he's cashing in. Taz is the mouthpiece, and he's talking that smack towards Moxley, and Moxley is just giving it right back. He did it on June 3rd, where he got into the ring, and then on June 10th, after that match on Dark, he came in kind of hurt, and he's angry. So I'm going to play a little spliced together Moxley promo piece from those two nights, which I'll just play right quick. So bear with me, Mom.
Sure.
Well, Taz, the reason I was smiling last week, the reason I'm smiling right now is because the thought of stepping in the ring with Brian Cage with that level of intensity, with that level of aggression, and going to absolute war, well, that makes me happy. Don't waste your time or mine trying to intimidate me. And the next time you want to bring my name up on TV, just remember exactly who the hell you're talking about. Well, if he was trying to get under my skin, it worked. I cannot wait for Fyter Fest. I am one miserable son of a bitch. The fact that Brian Cage thinks he can beat me pisses me off. The fact that Taz thinks Brian Cage can beat me pisses me off. The mere idea that anybody in AEW or in this sport anywhere in the world could possibly think they could beat me pisses me off. It's what drives me. It makes me train harder. It makes me hit harder. It makes me more violent, less apologetic. With all due respect, Taz.
Yes, two excellent promos. I thought it gave me big Stone Cold Steve Austin type vibes from those two promos. It led into Taz coming in and Brian Cage, them having a brawl in like the little parking lot there area. This feud has come off as really serious.
Poor car.
The poor car, yeah.
Who cares about Moxley? The poor car.
I'm loving this. Are you?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's gonna it's gonna be tough for Moxley. That Wolverine beast is just that. You know?
Wolverine. I'm really torn here because on one side of the coin, Moxley has been a great champion. He's building up these matches very, very much so in a credible manner. He's more than a star. And then you have on the other side of the coin is Cage, another big monster type guy who's come in, made a name for himself, built really strong. And if he loses, that's like the third straight guy of that kind that has come into AEW lost. So who does?
But I think Cage is a loser.
Cage is a loser?
Yeah, he is a loser. He needs to lose. I
mean, in a lot of ways, it's an old kind of Hulk Hogan gets put up against the monster heel character and he always beats him, right? It's a very old school kind of way that AEW is doing this thing. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because they can be rehabbed as a major thing. There's a reason why Lance Archer has basically been left off TV the past 3 weeks since Double or Nothing.
And what's the reason?
Well, they're keeping him separate from everything so they can rebuild him properly. Same thing with Brody Lee. They have him doing a separate little thing with Colt Cabana, keeping him out of the ring so you can rebuild these guys.
Gotcha.
I could see either or situation happening at Fyter Fest where Moxley will lose the title to Cage, but I can also see it just being a great match and Moxley simply is the better man that night.
I hope so. Because again, I would like the, when we gain our audience back, that our guys who we root for every week, we get them in the ring as winners, and
that's a very interesting way to look at it. It's almost like you want to see your favorites win.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm wondering about is what they're doing with Joey Janela.
Yes, that wasn't even in my notes. That was very interesting. That vignette of Joey Janela thinks his better days are behind him. He was in the main event with Omega, and
remember I made the comment, "Oh my God, he's turning into a Page. What's with the drinking? Him and Page should get together."
Well, and, Joey Janela getting drunk at a bar is definitely nothing new. If you know anything about Joey Janela, that's like a Friday for the guy. That's a 5 o'clock, right?
Okay.
But AEW's made this very clear. You're down on your luck. What do you do? Well, some people go to the bar, right? There's like, man, I've had those weeks at work. I just need a drink, right? I just need a stiff one and there's nothing wrong with that. But Joey Janela's sad, and he's coming out of the bar. He's had one too many.
And Sonny shows up.
And Sonny kissing a sweet Corvette.
Right. So what's going on?
To be continued. I'm all about that. That is excellent stuff.
Yeah. So I need to see what's going to be growing on that one.
Yeah, it came off as like this wild fear and loathing thing. Yeah, quite like that. Yeah, I almost forgot about that completely.
No, you didn't. I remember.
Well, you reminded
and I don't
me.
remember very much,
That
but
I
I remember that one. Only because I just saw it. And I made a point of writing it down because I thought I was very curious about that one.
Yeah.
And then my other question is, did Mark Quinn, did he actually hurt his knee, ankle, whatever it was?
In terms of the story or in terms of reality?
Reality.
No.
Okay. Because he did a really good fake then. Just like,
absolutely.
Cody and his fake forehead thing with the double band-aids, and then there's nothing there,
All right, well, let's get into our last thing then. That's the Cody TNT title matches. He defeated Jungle Boy on June 3rd and Mark Quinn on June 10th. And then he's set for another TNT title defense this next week coming, but we don't know the opponent for once. So
right.
Our first mystery opponent.
Right.
Because they've made it a point where he will defend this title week in and week out. And Dynamite ended kind of weird with Jake Hager coming out and Coney kind of speaking for him. Like Hager comes out, stares at him, and he's like, "Oh, you want this? Okay, for Fyter Fest."
I know, right?
I was like, why wouldn't Hager want it next week or something, right?
Because that's what I thought. Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking.
So here's my thinking behind this. This is the conclusion I came to.
Yeah. Okay.
Cody's like, okay, Jake Hager's a big bad dude. Before he can say anything, let me prepare for this big fucking dude for like a month so I can be better prepared rather than just next week here he is. And so, hey, it's on. All right. Hager's like, all right, I'll get my title match, whatever.
So you think Joey Janela is going to go up against Cody?
I mean, that'd be something, wouldn't it?
Right?
We have seen Joey face him, though, before.
Not for
Darby.
title, though.
But I think they're saving Darby for a later date, for sure. Darby is busy skating with Tony Hawk right now.
I know.
Yeah.
I like that little thing because I missed so much last week. That's what, or Wednesday with my stupid internet crap.
I really enjoyed both matches. I really did. I like Cody. He's a great TV wrestler. Okay.
Cody?
Yes. I really like his TV matches. Then when we always get to the pay-per-view, it's like, fuck. Every time it's seeming. I did like his MJF match, to be fair.
Cage match? Did you feel like that when Cody was in the cage match?
Well, that was on TV, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I like that one. I seem to always like his TV matches. But when it comes to the pay-per-view, it's always like flip a coin whether I'm going to like it or not. Not consistent.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Jungle Boy and Mark Quinn matches? Do you like them?
I liked Jungle Boy. I actually I like them both.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Jungle Boy against Mark Quinn. That'd be cool.
Ooh, kind of a loser match.
There you go.
No, because they both lost against Cody, and now they got to prove who's the better one between the two of them.
Right?
Yeah. Why not? Right?
Oh, we should just put it out there, put it in the universe.
Yeah.
AJW, we got a show for you.
So one thing I think is quite ridiculous is I don't have a problem with the pull apart brawls. It's kind of AEW's go-to. A bunch of guys get in the ring, they all fight each other, blah blah blah. It's very.
Well, they had some time to kill.
I would have preferred.
I liked the zebras all coming out too. That was funny.
Yeah, I would have definitely preferred just Hager comes out, he challenges for it, and Cody accepts kind of situation. Keep it simple, no problem with that with me. But they decided to do the pull apart thing. What's a little ridiculous was at the end of the Jungle Boy match, where he has just this insane amount of pyro at the end after his victory. I'm like, it came across to me as this pompous son of a bitch.
Wow.
He's the EVP. He's got to get all that pyro involved. He's becoming a bad guy kind of situation. He's very arrogant. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, well,
It's what
okay.
it is, you know? Yeah.
It's the first. Like I could see the idea behind it being it's the first match on TV with the TNT title. You're on TNT. Let's make this a big deal situation. It's not so much for myself as it is for the title. But it just didn't come across that way to me. Yeah.
What did you think about Matt Hardy with Mafungo and
I'm gonna mash you up into a mofungo and eat you. Well, what was funny during that Matt Hardy skit with Guevara, because Guevara's like, who do you think? I'm not stupid. You tried to kill me 2 weeks in a row. There was always a trigger word, and that would trigger Matt Hardy's next persona, his next personality, right?
Right. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, he would say kill me, and that brought about the Matitude, the Matt facts, and then because the kill me is extreme, and then he said I don't know whether you're broken, then he switches into broken Matt Hardy. I was like, oh, okay, there's trigger words involved, a little bit more. It makes more sense a little bit now.
I heard somebody in the audience go, Sammy chops like a girl. Oh God, that cracked me up.
Yeah,
that was funny, and that was a little on the slow side, I thought.
Yeah,
that match with Guevara and Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana.
One last thing, and then we'll get out of here.
And
there was a little MJF promo.
What about Billy Gunn and MJF?
Yes.
What?
Yes. In fact, just mentioned that.
They're gonna match up.
They're having a match.
Next week.
MJF cut a promo, made fun of Billy Gunn's sons.
No, I think, aren't they gonna have a match?
MJF versus Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
But they can't say Gunn because I guess WWE owns his name.
What?
Yeah, he's Billy. He's just Billy.
Serious shit. Oh my God. Well, I'm gonna say it because they don't own me.
Right. We can say it. No problem. All right. So that was AEW. About it from there. A little all over the place, but that's okay. Kind of get some conversation nonetheless. A little different for once. So, Mom, thank. Oh, that's right. Who was your wrestler of the 2 weeks?
Well, it's got to be Chris.
Statlander?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be?
Because she's my gal.
Okay, for Statlander it is.
And she's going to be out for a long time.
You won't be able to say that for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, alrighty, Mom.
I hope they do a rehab match. That would be awesome.
A rehab wheelchair match. I love it. Do it. Book it.
All right. Great being here. Thanks again.
We'll see you. For the podcast. We'll see you later for the DDT review.
Excellent.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. I am back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that AEW recap. And I hope my microphone is now properly functioning. I'm having some computer issues with it. So I hope everything's coming in crystal clear. And I don't have to redo all this. So fingers crossed. Join me. Lift your drinks because we're talking that Joshi wrestling. I can't wait. I know you guys can't wait. I know there's a lot of Joshi wrestling fans for this podcast. Otherwise, why else would you be here? I don't know any other podcast that covers Ice Ribbon as much as me. Just every show, basically. So, yes, Ice Ribbon Dojo shows. It is the Joshi Wrestling War. Kind of one-sided until Stardom comes back. Not that Tokyo Joshi Pro or Seedling or the like are in heavy competition. But anyways, 1043, 1044, and a little bit of 1045 are the shows from Ice Ribbon we are covering for this podcast. And if you couldn't tell, yes, that is still the new Maya Yukihi. I've heard that last name pronounced so many different times and corrected by so many different people. But I'm still going to go by what I hear from the announcer and other wrestlers in that promotion. And how they say her name. Maybe they don't say the H as harsh as I do, but hey, take it for what it is. 1043, May 30th. This was a non-Juku title show. It was more or less a house show, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't some fun matches on there. Headlined by the tag titles, I believe, on the line, actually. So we start out with Suzu defeating Now, the rookie, just for my own curiosity on the skill level and Now's development. Suzu had some new dark blue and white gear with an X across the chest and a deep blue miniskirt, so a different look, not bad. It's kind of her matching gear with teaming with Risa Sera, I believe. Ram Kaicho and Ozaki defeats Yappy and Tei Honma. So cool seeing Tei Honma back. There were a lot of edit cuts in this match, I think, that were pretty noticeable. But yes, nice to see Honma back in the ring. Honma looked real good here, where were some rough spots, whether she was in with Ozaki or Ram Kaicho, but she has this way of covering the appropriate rough spots by just transitioning into a nice little submission hold, and it just works. Her ground game definitely doesn't get enough credit, I feel, in the Joshi world. This was a fairly long match, too. I didn't write the time down as I usually do, because the Ice Ribbon undercards up until main events are generally kind of house show feel. There's not enough story, just long-term promotion-wise in these matches, so you just kind of take them as an entertainment factor. So yeah, post-match, Honma challenged Totoro and Tsukasa Fujimoto to a three-way dance, since she is the Triangle Champion, and see where that goes. Akane Fujita lost to Hiragi Kurumi. This was a very fun match to watch, a singles match of all things between the Frank sisters. Fujita looked more fit and rested than I can remember her seeing in quite some time. She had definitely more speed and stamina. It's very noticeable, at least to me. And she even used some submission moves to try and ground Kurumi. But the match was more power versus power in the end, and this is how Kurumi was able to win and finish with a top rope splash. So this one gets a thumbs up. So Suzu and Sarah are indeed teaming up, so we're getting double Suzu on the show. They even have lightsabers. And just in my own little kayfabe world, Suzu is now stealing Maya's tag partners before taking her title. They're facing off against Maya and Ibuki Hoshi here. Risa Sera tried a big swing, airplane swing combo with Maya on her shoulders, swinging Ibuki. Impressive strength, albeit just a tad slow. Suzu's new move of this match, because as we know, she must bust out a new move every match these days, is a low drop kick to the shin. A decent match. Suzu hits the feliner, of all things. 3-time karate champion Suzu over here. Then she follows it up with a big German to pin Ibuki, so it kind of puts her ahead on the totem pole, gives her a win going into her eventual big title match against Maya. So yes, the main event, here we are, former 3-time tag champs, Lovely Butchers, getting a title shot versus the Drop Kickers. Yes, Sexy, Dynamite, and War Crusher arrive in their leopard print sunglasses get up best. Basically a Session Moth Martina cosplay. I've been very vocal with this tag team in the past, putting on possibly the worst tag matches I basically ever watch, mostly because of the big ham Sexy Dynamite here. Will they surprise me with the rise of War Crusher? Well, I can't believe I'm saying this. Best Ice Ribbon tag match this year. Unbelievably, the chemistry between the four in this match was great. Hamako, I think, was still easily the weak link, but nothing in this match fell flat, out of place, and there were a host of sensible near falls to keep you guessing. And my God, did Hamako Hoshi look like a beast. She kicked out of everything. She countered everything. Everything's harping back to her singles matches versus each of the drop kickers from the Juku title tournament. It is no joke that it took everything up to an ocean suplex from Suka and a top rope double stomp from Tsukushi in tandem, mind you, to finally pin Hoshi. I could not believe my eyes. But more so in my own fandom world, the improvement of Miyagi, coupled with the tag team's chemistry of the Dropkickers, made this great and a big thumbs up. Easily the best Lovely Butchers match I have ever seen, actually. I can't remember one that I've enjoyed this much. I usually end up laughing by the end of it. That moves us on to 1044. First match of note, I think, and this is just what I think, making up the missing Juku title tournament match between Suzu and Fujita, Akane. I'm not sure, I have no idea, but it was enjoyable either way. Solid short-term time limit draw. Maybe a bit too much showboating from Suzu. But she's young and that cost her. That's the story I took from it. Builds up a small little rivalry with another veteran here, so I'm okay with that. It goes to the live chat vote for a winner, and Suzu is less than pleased, and then shocked she lost the fan vote. This live chat is out to hurt me. Conspirators, I say, as Britt Baker would definitely agree with me. There was a... I've been told by a couple people two different stories, but I got the feeling that the one about Akane Fujita being injured is probably the more meritable one, that they just had to rework the tournament, and that's why she was out. Why this had to go to a time limit draw, I hope, and being that she's geared up for that title match, I hope this builds up Akane, and then because on the previous show, Aragi Kurumi beat Akane, we could have two challengers to Suzu immediately in some form of fashion if she wins the title. But there was a tag match that followed with Sarah and Totoro taking on Tekla and Tsuka, where mid-match Sarah's boob blocks the hard cam, and then her and Tsuka teleport to fighting in front of the Tokyo Dome, then on top of it, and then on Tokyo Tower. Just great meme photos all around. There was an Eiffel crab, if you will. Then Sarah jumped from the tower of doing her, knee stomp into the River Thames, where Tsuka was, as they get to London. The splat grunts, of course, came with the impact. Very funny. The campiness was on full force here. I put it out on my Twitter, lots of pictures at BowlingJD, so seek that out. It's very glorious. And even post-match, they kind of attack each other and they keep going. And out on the ice ribbon, I believe it was Risa Sarah's Twitter, you can see like all the locations that they took their fight. But this is the show in which we get the Juku title finals. It is Hamako Sexy Dynamite Hoshi versus Maya All Belts Snow Princess Yuki. This was a masterclass in selling by Maya. Especially moreover because, it's Hamako in the ring. And when there's Hamako in the ring, oh, you bet you gotta sell for her. Every which way from Sunday to the next Sunday. The story that unfolded was the more time that went in and went on, Hamako was using the drop kickers offense. I don't know if that was by design, but I think it has to be because of how long Hamako has been with Ice Ribbon and knows Tsukushi and Tsukasa. Maya hit her with almost everything she had, including a Tiger Driver, which Hamako kicked out of. I've never seen anyone kick out of the Tiger Driver. So that is a big note. Maya never really got in full control in this match here as the in-ring Cinderella story of Sexy Dynamite, utilizing Maya's biggest current threats to her title. That's Tsukushi and Tsuka. It's either something Maya wasn't expecting or the moves themselves are a weakness of hers. There's a lot of different stories you can take from this match. Once that 2-minute warning hit, Maya hits that Tiger Driver, misses the flipping senton, and we go to that near fall counter finish that we previously saw go to a draw for both Hamako's Suka and Tsukushi match. But this time, Hamako added 2 moves. One was a Venus clutch, a la Suka style, and of course it looked absolutely horrible. One double stomp, leg clutch from Tsukushi, also looked horrible. And finally countered one last time from Maya's big kick that she likes doing into that wheelbarrow leg roll-up, and she wins. With like 10 seconds left on that clock for the 19-minute time limit, Maya not only lost, but it's her first singles match lost in God knows how long. Like, forever. I honestly don't even know what to make of this. On one hand, good for the Ham. Great underdog story told, where anything can happen in a tournament. One like this with special rules makes it great. And on the other hand, you just pinned Maya clean for a secondary title loss. So, if the idea here is to, because Maya is so high on a pedestal in Ice Ribbon at this point, not being pinned in so long, not being, no one's being a credible threat to her in so long, if this is a way to humble her and set her up for a Suzu loss, because now she's nervous, or she has her doubts, she might hesitate on some moves when we get to that match, then we can tell a longer story there. You know, they can cut their post-match promos. Hey, I lost to a 17-year-old. I just lost to Hamako Hoshi. There's that embarrassment to it, right? Where she's been so high on the mountain that she just dropped, you know, to the summit, if you will. Now, if Maya wins against Suzu, then all that does to me is say that Ice Ribbon isn't ready to crown a 17-year-old champion again, even though they've done a young age champion in the past. Maybe they want to save that for more people in the audience. But then, if the idea isn't to have Maya lose, A, why did she lose here? And make that first loss even more special. B, maybe they think the Juku tournament is just a fun little YouTube thing where they can kind of not think twice about it. C, if she wins and retains, then we can expect Hamako to challenge, because she has now beaten her here, and she's the only contender that's credible because of the win. There's a lot of confusion here, just in the overall booking and stories being told. I think either way, these dojo shows have helped build a lot of the wrestlers within Ice Ribbon, mostly on their in-ring game. But how are they going to be able to mold these stories into regular shows when they get back to having fans? That's going to be what we can break down the most. Will they repeat some storylines? Because not everybody's seen these YouTube shows. Not everybody wants to see empty arena wrestling. Will they just continue on and just kind of remind you, just hey, this happened, this happened, this happened? There's a lot of questions that need answers. And the first show in Yokohama, 1046, is going to be very telling and very interesting to see how the rest of 2020 is going to go for Ice Ribbon. So then, just right fast, 1045 Ice Ribbon Nico Pro pay-per-view that they had. It was definitely a house show of house shows. Maiko Ozaki defeats Tekla via mid-rope senton. Second match, Bani Okawa versus Totoro versus Tsukushi. Totoro submits Bani via the standing bow and arrow backbreaker, of all things. Kind of weird you wouldn't give Tsukushi to win, but she was kept out of it. And it's a three-way, so Ice Ribbon always likes doing those kind of things. Third match was a trios match. it was Tsukasa, Uno, Kurumi. They defeat the team of Sarah, Yappy, and Fujita via Uno single leg wheelbarrow rolling up Yappy. So that same little, they love that roll up finisher. Fourth match, Suzu and Ibuki versus, oh my god, this team. Most conflicting ever. It's Hamako and Maya teaming up. Dear God. And it goes to a time limit draw. But there is a lot of story you can take from this match. Obviously, the big setup is Suzu and Maya for the Yokohama show. There's the Hamako-Maya little rivalry building between the two. It's a comical embarrassment type situation, almost like you're watching an anime at times. And then there's the running story of Ibuki and Hamako, mother and daughter rivalry. So, yeah, basically that big highlight match. And I kind of already, I have in my notes here explained the pros and cons to a Suzu title reign and its importance to Ice Ribbon. I actually went through a lot of this recently when I was a guest on the Joshi Pod with Eric from over there. He had me on talking about the preview of the 1046 Yokohama show. It's the same episode in which he interviewed Tsukasa Fujimoto. Great interview. Go out and listen to that over on the Joshi Pod. I really went into how important the Suzu title reign is, I think, for a lot of Ice Ribbon fans, because Maya's been champion for so long. I personally don't have an issue with long-term champions that are booked really strong. It makes their loss that much more important. As long as they're putting out great matches, I'm always okay for a good title run, as long as you keep putting out credible challengers and you have a plan in place. You know, the very long Okada reign was very fun. It gets to the point where every challenger, you just think, oh, well, now this is the one where he's got to lose, right? This is kind of where, this is really where we're at with Maya and her title run. So in my opinion, I still think Suzu needs to win this match for a lot of reasons. It's to push a new star, a new credible top talent to head up Ice Ribbon. Now, the con of it all is she's only 17. I personally don't see age as a really negative thing. If they are capable of carrying something on their back, why not do it? We see it in real sports all the time. Could that be too much responsibility? Maybe there's something behind the scenes we don't know. There are pros and cons to Suzu winning and losing, for that matter. I'm still predicting Suzuki wins this match, and then we can either get a Maya chase, Suzu can have a short reign, and maybe have a defense or two over the summer and then lose it at Osaka to a Sakushi. I'm not really feeling back to Fujimoto, a Risa Serra, and then we can get the Osprey Revolution match back again, kind of a 1-year anniversary thing. There's so many different directions you could go. The direction I think a lot of Ice Ribbon fans want is the Suzu win. If Ice Ribbon has Maya win, that is I think it's a safety line, and they're not bold enough to tread with a new direction just yet. That safety line, reestablishing a fan base, reestablishing fans back in the stands, because it's very possible that that the fans just won't know how to react to all the wrestlers again. If we assume that they're all watching the dojo shows and they're all invested and everything, we'll see that at the 1046 show. I'm very worried that if it's a quiet audience, there's not a lot of reaction, then that definitely brings in question, what do? Do you just keep that safety line? So that's a huge decision for Ice Ribbon to make going forward. Now, in kayfabe sense, Suzu shouldn't stand a chance. He's only 17. Maya is the queen on top of the mountain. The Ice Princess is going to freeze this this child and kick her head off, Tiger Driver. But I think the 17-year-old is going to come out on top and shock the Joshi world. With that, let's get on to that Puro War, everybody. As I'm checking now 20 minutes over Ice Ribbon. How about that? I'm checking to see if my audios are all working. All the bars are moving. I hope that means everything's going. I'm going to play the next music. I'm going to drink my Truly, my hard seltzer. Now I got to find my drop. Where is it? Talking DDT, right? That was next. Hero War, DDT. Yeah, I got to play the music. And my mom and I are going to talk Peter Pan and DDT.
Get ready.
And we're back. Mom, you're back for part 2 of your wrestling review.
Part 2 of Wrestling Review. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes, it's June, a new month, which means new wrestling promotion for Mom to watch.
Mom to watch. Mom did watch. Mom enjoyed it.
Oh, well.
Even though there was no audience, I really didn't miss the audience because they're quiet anyways. But
that's one way to look at it. Yeah, it's like Japan's quiet anyways. You don't even notice they're there half the time.
Yeah, I mean, really. And they did leave the ring on the outside dark. So I think that may have contributed to not missing the audience as much.
Perhaps. That is one way.
I mean, just my take on it. But I thought, all in all, it was a damn good show.
And the show she's referring to is DDT's Peter Pan, which we watched both days for. A selected message. I'll get into that in a little bit here. I'm gonna bring us all up on the stories and the Go Home show leading into the Peter Pan, which is their TV show, their 5th one that ran on May 30th. I don't have much to talk about in the undercard, so I'm just gonna skip to the more important things that happened that set up a lot of the unknowns going into the Peter Pan event. There was the 2-month-long story of Yoshihiko and Akihiro. Those are the blow-up dolls.
Oh, right.
Versus Takeshita and Akito. So this was a tag match between them, and this was... You saw the build-up clip on Peter Pan of this, what I'm about to explain here, which is basically there was interference immediately from the All Out members from the get-go. Those dastardly heels. How dare they? And then later in the match, Akito ties up Yoshihiko with their own limbs, a rope, ties the rope to the banners that's kind of situated on the upper stage area for this venue, and they raise the banner upwards, and that's when Akito points to the ring, forces Yoshihiko to watch as Takeshita rips the arm off of Akihiro right in front of him. Very devastating. This ref should be absolutely fired for this transgression, allowing such blasphemy during the integrity of this wrestling match. Absolutely disgusting. Mom, someone lost an arm in this match for the sake of this rivalry. I can't believe the ref just goes submission TKO victory for Yoshihiko. So yeah, that was absolutely crazy. Post-match, Takeshita challenges Yoshihiko to a last man standing match at Peter Pan. And then there was a speech that says, "I don't want to do this, but you've forced this upon me. You've forced me to become a different man, a different human. I will stop at nothing until one of us is dead." Those kind of words. I didn't have the whole speech written down. And then somewhere in between of this show, Noah's faction from Keno, the faction known as Congo from Noah, shows up, declares faction warfare at Peter Pan, and a DDT team of Higuchi, Matsunaga, and Takagi accept the challenge. And then the main event was the Trios titles match. You would have loved this match, Mom, I would say. This was Damn Hearts versus the team Disaster Box.
Why did I watch it?
Kind of forgot, but it was on the TV show. But you saw you saw the tag team match that fell out due to what happened in this match. This match took place with the stipulation that if the Disaster Box team of Hirashima, Ueno, and Yoshimura did not win the titles, they were never allowed to challenge for the Trios titles again as long as Damn Hearts were champions. And Lindemann, he's the short, beefy, thick-legged dude that you remember from the tag match.
Yeah.
I believe he was the one that said, well, if we win, then we'll earn ourselves a tag title shot on top of it. And the match was exactly what you would expect it to be. It was nonstop action. I think this match was better than the tag match we saw at Peter Pan. We'll get into that a little bit later. Due to the fact that there was the combination of Endo and Ueno was very good. And yes, Damn Hearts retain in the end. Lindemann was playing this like chicken shit heel role where he was talking shit, and then I've never seen him with this much charisma before, ever, that I can remember. Very interesting to actually see Lindemann have some character for once. So, very good match. I definitely recommend checking this Trios match out. And that will take us into Peter Pan Day 1, which took place on June 6th. So the way we did it, because these shows were like 3.5, 4.5 hours a pop.
Long time, yeah.
Long time. I ended up watching the entire shows of both nights.
Sure.
And I can't say outside of what we watched, what I had you watch, Mom, in particular, nothing else was really worth kind of seeking out and going into. It felt like a lot of filler. Like, nothing was horrible by any means.
Yeah, right. There's just a lot of filler stuff that.
It felt like
not a big deal.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was a big deal. There was a Jun Akiyama against the Rookies kind of storyline that was going on that I just really didn't have much interest in. Couldn't get into that.
Feed forward.
Yeah. There was there was one bad match on both nights. Out of the two nights. There was only one that I could say was actually bad. And that was the Universal title hardcore three-way match between the champions Sasaki, Kodaka, and Katsumata, or Shunma, as more people would know. It went 24 minutes, and it was just three dudes hitting each other with shit. The first 5 minutes really set the pace for how shitty this match was going to be. It was just nonsense.
That good, huh?
Yeah, I really disliked it. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was a waste of time. The champion retains after all of this. Even the story was very uninteresting. It's just been 3 ways after 3 ways after 3 ways with this entire title. Don't recommend that one at all. But the matches you watched on day 1 was Hiroshi Yamato and Saori Ano taking on Harukaze and Keisuke Ishii. So what I tried to do for you, Mom, was to give you a kind of feeling of what DDT is without the hardcore deathmatch stuff.
Okay.
I wanted a little bit of the Tokyo Joshi Pro wrestling that they seem to... Those are the women that are featured on the cards. I wanted to show you a mixed tag, the intergender stuff, because I think DDT kind of separates itself that way from a lot of other promotions. And then the big main events on both shows, both nights. That was what I tried to get you exposed to, was what makes DDT different from everyone else.
Yeah, so definitely different.
Yeah. So what do you think of this first mixed tag that you saw? I went 8:57.
The mixed tag of the women and men.
Yeah, the first night.
Right. Well, as you know, I'm not a fan of men against women anyways.
I'm aware.
And
it doesn't make your opinion any less.
However,
unless it's against Rio, of course.
they, you know, when I went to the, you know, the indie wrestling with you and
Beyond Wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, Beyond Wrestling. And you know, it was that one-on-one with Statlander and that little shit dude.
John Silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, the meat man.
Yeah. So that really bothered me. But with the Japanese and how they treat the women, it's totally, it was a different feeling, and I'm not for it, but I didn't feel that they disrespected either, you know. Whereas Silver against Statlander, he was he's just a nasty human being. It really bothered me. I'm still not a fan, but I wasn't as bothered by it as I was when I saw it live with Statlander and Silver compared to what I saw in Japan. It's a different feeling. I didn't feel that it was extreme aggression. I guess it would be the best way to say it.
Yeah, that's something that Beyond Wrestling kind of separates itself. Heavy emphasis on the intergender. They don't see a difference between man versus woman in the wrestling world, while here in Japan, DDT specifically, I think they've got a very good handle on how to make mixed tags work.
Very much so, and yeah, and that's how I felt about that.
Yeah, what do you think of Saori Ano specifically in this match? She was the kind of cocky girl that was teaming with the dude who came out singing. Do you remember?
Well, because it was the first match, and I was trying to absorb everything. Like I said, I just it was very different to me. But I felt it was a fair match. You know, I didn't feel that. I like whatever her name was, Saori. Sorry. What's her name?
I've heard it pronounced a number of different ways. Saori, Saori, Sori. I've heard it a few different ways.
Okay.
I think it's a accent thing, depending on where you are in Japan, how it's pronounced.
Okay.
I could be wrong easily. I'm obviously not Japanese, nor am I from Japan. Well, I don't speak Japanese. Yeah, I know, crazy, right?
Jeez. I had no idea.
So Saori Ano does a really cool reversal at the end. She kind of floats over and then gets into a German suplex and pins for her team to win. And that will take us into the semi-main event. We're skipping the Universal title match.
See, and this is why I like to watch things twice, because the first time it's there's a lot going on, and I'm trying to absorb it all. And then the second time I'm able to just calm down and really watch things. You know what I mean? That's why I like to watch my wrestling twice.
Sure.
So probably should have done it twice, JD.
Well, speaking of which, what did you think of the presentation of DDT? Like with the dudes in the hazmat outfits with the cameras, the long table setups, the venue itself.
Well, this brings up something that I was just thinking about the other day, and when we first started talking about, or you're showing, I was watching Japan wrestling with you and stuff, and the things that I noticed in the audience. Everybody wearing a mask, and I remember commenting about that. And this was months and months ago.
This was, I think this was. You noticed it when you watched Stardom, and you really noticed it when you watched Wrestle Kingdom,
right?
From New Japan, yeah.
Right. And now there's nobody in the audience.
And now there's just nobody there.
Now they're wearing hazmat suits.
Yeah, DDT, they're literally wearing hazmat outfits.
Yeah. I mean, all you could see were the eyes. Gloves and everything. They were to the nines with I'm not catching this thing.
Well, that's the thing about DDT. If they're gonna make a joke or take something serious and try to make it funny, they don't pull any punches. So it's like, we could wear masks, or we could have our entire production crew wear hazmat outfits.
Well, not only that, they were wearing gloves and covering their hair. I mean, they were totally decked out hazmat.
Well, that's DDT. That's what they
totally
do. They turn something serious into making it fun for the viewer.
Well, where I was going with this, when I was making the comment, God, why are these people wearing all these masks? Is it that, contagious? Are people that afraid? And here we are today. And
well, no one in America is afraid. Not anymore.
Well, that's worldwide. But, our audience is now, we're going to see in our audience people with masks. And it's just going to be a totally different view of what's coming to wrestling in the future. How long do we have to wear that mask? I think those masks will be around forever now.
I don't think they're ingrained enough in American culture quite yet.
Oh,
even after all this.
Oh, yes, they are.
I'm seeing nobody wear a mask anymore.
Well, people live in fear, and the fear of getting this deadly virus is now ingrained in them to a pretty extreme degree.
Right.
And until there's a vaccination or something that's going to protect people, and even after it, they're still going to wear the mask. You're going to see a lot more people making that their thing compared to what it used to be, for sure. But it was really funny seeing the hazmat guys. I just cracked up with that. And a lot of the stuff that they did at DDT, considering there was no audience, like I said, I really didn't miss the audience, only because I've watched it before and they're very quiet anyway. So missing the audience in itself, there was no miss on that.
Well, I also give credit to the style of wrestling that DDT does, where I just think that they don't quite pander to a crowd or look for it all the time. Say I'm watching Dragon Gate a lot, and I'm gonna follow up because they just did a tournament, and a lot of what those wrestlers do is crowd pandering, and they've really had to go through this entire style adjustment throughout this tournament. While DDT, it just seems like they're putting on they're just going about their business because the style just works.
Yeah, it does, and that's why I said it really flowed really well. They didn't miss a beat. It was very entertaining, all in all, for the 2 days of watching. Didn't miss a beat at all.
Yeah, I mean, we did have you skip through a lot of the filler, but
I'm okay with that.
Hey, you still got 7 matches in at the end of the day, so
exactly
that counts for more than a full show. All right, faction warfare match. Let's get going here. It's Kazuda Higuchi, Sanshiro Takagi, and Tomomitsu Matsunaga. They lose to Kongo, the team from Noah, Hao, Keno, and Masa Kitamiya. Match went 19-19, so a very good time. I love the almost flat 20-minute timestamp. I think it's perfect for whether it be a tag, an epic singles match, a trios match like what we got here. There's something about that number where the closer you get to it, and then just a little bit after that, makes for an excellent match. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was a really good match. It was lots of action, lots of shit going on. I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah. The story that
And
I think
1919, because when I've watched too long and I'll go, my God, this is lasting a while. I didn't even make that comment at all when I was watching that.
you said it in one match, and that
I said
was
it in others, and I've written it down on the ones that did go on for a while that I could feel it, but I didn't on this particular match, even though it was 1919.
Right.
It flowed. It kept going. It kept my interest. I enjoyed it. It was
What I
good
noticed
entertainment.
specifically in this one was the size of Higuchi compared to everyone else in the ring.
Right.
He's the Yakuza-looking guy with the slick black hair, the big lanky body. He's just massive. And this is, I've noticed this before, but it was very apparent here that the guys from DDT are in phenomenal shape, while the guys from Noah seem a bit pudgy, especially Keno. I know that's kind of just their running weight. They don't have the epic 8 to 10 pack that, say, Tetsuya Endo has. But for this kind of speaks to the style of DDT. They kind of have to be in this crazy cardio shape with their style that they do.
Right.
See the same thing in Dragon Gate. So yeah, Keno, I believe he got the pin in the end. So it looks good. And that'll take us into the main event of day one. Night one. Last man standing match. Takashita versus
That was so ridiculous.
Yoshihiko.
That was so ridiculous.
The end of the bloodbath.
Ridiculous funny. That lasted quite a while.
The war is coming to an end.
Oh my God. That was so ridiculous.
So, Mom, take the audience through this journey of a masterpiece theater that you watched here.
Well, not knowing that this was going to be
I gave you no backstory. I let DDT tell the story for you.
Is it a doll? Is it a woman? Is it a man? It's a woman. Don't know, not sure, but but it's not a blow up doll. It's a stuffed doll that they got some guy all in black as so the doll can make its movements and such, And what cracked me up was the guy. Takashita, right?
Yep.
He was actually believable that doll was truly attacking him. He did a really good job.
Oh, he stays in character phenomenally.
It was great. And
his facial expressions.
How long did that last?
15 minutes and 4 seconds.
15 minutes of a doll bashing.
So it's really funny. They Takashita starts in a graveyard, and he's holding his phone like he's got Google Maps up. And he's like, okay, this is where we're supposed to meet for our epic final encounter.
So ridiculous. And then the sound effects. I'm yeah, right.
as he's getting hit by the doll, Yoshihiko. Well, one thing I don't think they've done this before, but Yoshihiko had this crazy monster sound that would as it was attacking him.
Okay.
Just every once in a while, it would scream, and Takashita's face is the whole time. It was like a B horror movie. That's what it reminded me of. Like Jason Voorhees chasing after him.
It was so ridiculously funny. I'm so glad I got to watch how stupid some stuff is. That was really stupid good. It was stupid funny good. I enjoyed it.
When you go over the top that much, you can't help
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The thing is, this was like a 6 to 8 week storyline.
Wow.
That built up to this moment.
Jeez.
Really funny. Yeah, there's chase scenes. There's one where Takashita's trying to escape. They even have a wrestling match for the first
it went from
4
night
minutes.
to day. They were fighting for so long, it went from night to day.
Yeah. Eventually, so Takeshita's running away. He tries calling up his all-out buddy, and he's like hanging out in his apartment. He's like, hello? He's like, get over here. And then Yoshihiko pops up from behind, takes him out, drops the phone. Then they end up fighting on the roof. And that led to the whole kind of Michael Myers final situation.
He's over the edge, but you don't know what happened to him because you don't see him at the edge or on the ground, for that matter. So he very well could just be hanging on the wall.
No. So Takeshita throws Yoshihiko off the roof, and then he's like, I finally did it. I've killed him. And then,
but you don't
of course,
know that for a fact.
Well, of course, the camera just pans back a little bit, and Yoshihiko's got the bloody face. He's popped up behind him. Gets him in the chokehold and everything. Then there's the teasing of the gasoline, and they're trying to like set each other on fire, and then finally, after the long struggle, Takeshita has that, nice knowing you, baby, and throws the lighter on Yoshihiko, and you just see this kooky CG explosion.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's dead.
Now it's dead. Or is it?
Or is it?
He even does the dumb like B-movie thing where his friend finally shows up late.
Right.
And they do the whole in arms, the sun's just rising like a house on haunted hill, and they're walking away, and it's like, that was a big battle.
Jeez.
It was ridiculous. So you've seen the Boneyard match. You've seen Stadium Stampede. And now you've seen Last Man Standing from DDT. Which crazy, overproduced production match is your favorite?
Stadium Stampede.
Okay.
I can't go with the doll.
Aww.
I can't.
But someone actually could possibly died in this. For your entertainment, someone committed murder.
Of a doll.
Hey.
What? Oh, it's not really a doll? Is that what you're telling me?
Hey,
It's only a fake?
That is an ace wrestler of the DDT company, okay?
Well, then it can't possibly be dead.
No way. It'd be an epic
No
return.
way.
You'll see.
No.
All
It'll return.
Have all these burned wounds or heavy bandages.
Right. Right.
All right, so day 2. Day 2 started with the Tokyo Joshi Pro trios match. Miracle Lions, that's the team of Shoko and Yuka Sakazaki, whom you've seen in AEW, teaming with Miyu Yamashita. They defeated...
You're so good with the names.
Oh, thank you. They defeated Bakuretsu Sisters. That's the team of Nodoka Tenma and Yuki Aino, along with Rika Tatsumi.
That was a good match for the women.
Not bad, right?
Not bad. I actually enjoy the women match over there than I do the women matches here.
You might say that they are better wrestlers.
That could be it. Even the young ones that are still coming up in the ranks and such. But I think the women wrestlers over there have it over the women here for sure. I think the women here need to go there for a while.
And they do. At least the ones in AEW. Most of that roster has experience going to Japan a number of times. Obviously, Shida is from Japan. Britt Baker's done stints in Stardom. Probably needs more.
Yeah. Well, she can't do it right now.
Nyla Rose is from Marvelous. Now, Chris Statlander wrestles dudes all the time, so that's a different level of adjustment, right?
She's a total different. Yeah.
She's a different animal.
She's the beast.
So who was your kind of standout performer in this trios match here? Who shot off the TV for you?
Who was the one that I made a comment that she was a little power shithouse?
I believe that's Nodoka Tenma, the one that you compared to Emi Sakura.
Yeah.
Yeah. She stood out to you, eh?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So we got another mixed tag that followed. That is, and I was really looking forward to what you would think of this one. It's the team of Chris Brooks and Maki Ito.
That was freaking funny too.
They took on the team Eruption. This was built up on TV on week 5 a little bit. That is the team of Saki Akai and Yukio Sakaguchi, whom had that pretty cool entrance video of them kind of being this kind of mob tag team, walking down a street, taking no prisoners kind of situation. It's a cool team video. And then Maki Ito comes out on Chris Brooks' shoulders and sings their entrance song. They got their own dynamic. So, what'd you think of this one?
It was a long match.
It was on the longer side.
Yeah, it was a little on the longer side. But and here's the thing again with the men and women. I don't feel the harshness for men against the women when I'm watching this compared to if I were watching it here in the Americas.
Yeah, so for the sake of it, the trios women's match went 15:31 and this one went 12 minutes.
And it seemed longer. It kind of dragged a little bit. But I thought, was it Maki Ito? She was funny. She was funny. Going behind the curtain,
peeking her head out.
I'm not coming out till it's safe. Why are you wrestling then? I don't get it. Why are you wrestling?
Well, she was just fine as long as the person was down in the ring, and she's like, all right, tag me in now.
Yeah, right.
She wanted nothing to do with Sakaguchi, and he was the dude with the bunch of tattoos.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was intimidating her. He's like, what are you doing? Get out of here. And she would try to stomp the toes or something or punch him, and he's just like, whatever. It was a fun little dynamic.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, how much can a woman do to a man? I mean,
well, you've seen Chris Statlander, so a lot.
Well, yeah, but she was 2 of those women wrestlers. I mean, my God, come on now.
Well, Saki Akai is like as tall as most of them. She's all legs.
Yeah. You know, I'd like to see her in the Americas kick some women's asses over here.
Well, I'm glad you got a kick out of Maki Ito. That was the whole point.
Yeah, it was funny. It was fun.
So the two big matches, I would say, well, besides the Last Man Standing match, the epic murder that we saw on TV. I don't think I'll ever be able to sleep at night the same again. We do have our tag team title match. The team of Nautilus, that's Yoshimura and Ueno, taking on Strong Hearts, Lindemann and T-Hawk. 22 minutes and 12 seconds.
Ooh, good match, long match.
But on the long side. It felt, I did feel the last few minutes, I was like, man, is this ever going to end?
Yeah, and you know, it's like, dang, these guys are really putting out. I mean, they're wearing me out watching them. Never stop. It was non-stop action. I was really amazed. I mean, it was just, I was engrossed in the whole match. It was very good.
This felt
it got
like
4 stars for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
This felt like a lucha match. Because there was no tags. At least I don't remember any. Because it was just they were just running the entire time. I'm dubbing this the extreme cardio match. Because that's what it came off as. Who's gonna gas out first?
Right.
And that's kind of what it came down to, because they would just hit move, hit move, hit move,
And
hit move.
they put all out. They went all out. That was good.
Yep. And Nautilus retain over Strong Hearts. So there's that. What'd you think of the team of Lindemann and T-Hawk?
I thought they were going to win.
Sure seemed that way for a little bit.
I really did, yeah. Because they came in as the tag team champs.
No, that was Nautilus. They came in and retained.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
It's okay.
I thought the Strong Hearts had it. Okay. But I thought they were going to win. I even had them as the winners.
I've noticed you gravitate towards matches that are more lucha based and possibly more Dragon Gate style based, which is this nonstop. It never kind of like, you're okay with it slowing down, but it would need to make sense in the story being told, I guess. And their story here was, you just got to go, man.
Make it happen.
I think that's why you liked the Dragon Gate show that you watched in February quite a lot, and that's why you're liking this DDT one as well. While the New Japan one was a lot of standing in the middle of the ring, hitting each other, and then falling down. That was your words.
Probably so.
Yeah. So I find that very interesting, and you like AEW, which is a very similar style to it all. So I'm wondering when Mexico gets up and going. There's a couple of big shows that we could watch from there, and I'd be curious to see how you would like what they do in Mexico.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah. Main event of Peter Pan Night 2. Champion Masato Tanaka, the openweight title, is on the line as he tries to defend it against the sword challenge holder Tetsuya Endo. 26 minutes, 23 seconds. Spoiler, this is a match of the year candidate for me.
It got 5 stars for me.
Whoa!
I know. For both nights, those were my 2 favorite matches for both nights.
5 stars for Mom, for Masato Tanaka Endo. I might agree with you on that one.
They were crazy. It was a long match, but lots of back and forth. Fun match. I honestly thought that the Tanaka was going to keep the title. I'm really surprised that in the end he didn't. But that just leads up to something else that's going on. So, time for a new champ. It was good. It was a good match. And though it was 26 minutes, there really wasn't a lull in any of the wrestling.
No, there was always a point to what was happening.
Yeah, it just kept going and going, and I just didn't feel that, oh my God, because I'm notorious for going, geez, come on, make this end. Nope, didn't say it. Knew it was a long match, didn't know it was 26 minutes.
Right.
But lots of back and forth. That's why, I'm like, I was very surprised at the end that Tanaka didn't keep it, but it was good. It was a good match.
Tell me about the story of this match. What was the story that it told to you?
I don't know the stories, JD. What story?
What did Tanaka target? What did he do to try to beat Endo?
Oh, you mean like going after his knee and stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Endo is a high flyer. His finishing move is the shooting star press, the big inward flip off the top rope. And he does all those springboards. What does Tanaka do? Aims for that knee.
Boom.
Any time Endo was starting to fight back, elbow to the knee, down again. It was awesome. And one thing I thought was interesting was at the beginning of the match, Tanaka really targeted the leg, right? To the point where there was a couple table spots. Tanaka went through one, Endo went through another. Or no.
Both. Endo went through both of them.
So Tanaka splashed Endo through one. No, he threw him off. That's what happened. And then the second time, Tanaka went to splash on him, but Endo got his knees up and had his knees take the brunt of the damage. Thought that was interesting. And then Tanaka using like table shards to slap at the knees. That was cool.
Yeah, he got cut up pretty good.
So at the beginning of the match, Tanaka's really worked the legs. He's got some submission minutes going in on the legs specifically. And at first I was like, because Endo kind of flips out of it, he does a couple flips, and he's fine, right? I go, okay, so he's not selling the leg. That's kind of minus in a tick box for me, how I watch it. You know, if because the whole point is you're pretending it's real, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, he's flipping on it, flipping out of it. He's still doing his flippy shit, and he goes for more flippy shit, and that's when Tanaka elbows the knee, elbows his thigh, and he's down again. And kind of from that point forward, Endo was slower in the match. He wasn't as fast, and over time the damage accumulated, and he couldn't flip as much anymore. And then at the end of the match, Tanaka hadn't worked the leg in quite a long time, and Endo was fighting back. Gave his legs time to recover so he could hit his couple big moves.
Yeah.
So that's great storytelling, right?
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I took out. It was excellent stuff. I thought when Endo was going for that second shooting star press at the end of the match, Tanaka was going to move or get his elbow up and nail him in the face, and that would do it. I thought the first shooting star press, that the very first one that Endo attempted, and he landed on his feet, but then his legs collapsed underneath him, and that's when Tanaka from behind elbows the back of his head real hard. I thought that was the end of the match right there. The near falls in this were fantastic. I didn't know who was going to win at any point in time. It all made sense in the story being told and how much damage Endo had taken, but he just kept kicking out. And he couldn't put Tanaka away. Okay, is Endo going to hit this shooting star press this time? Oh, he's going for that second one. No way he's going to get it. I adored this. I was very, very surprised they were able to pull something of this caliber out. And you gave it 5 stars, and that's only your third one of the year, by the way.
You're right. Because there's always room for improvement.
Well.
But yeah, I did. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the show. Enjoyed both of them. Because they really put on a great show and wore me out.
Wore you out,
Watching it. Yeah. Wore me out. Good show.
So you've watched New Japan, you've watched Dragon Gate, you've watched Stardom, and now you've watched DDT. Do you have a favorite?
Make me pick. Don't make me pick.
I am. Do you have a favorite Japanese promotion yet?
No.
Like, which one would you prefer watching out of those?
Well, they're all different.
I know.
And and
I'm aware.
and yeah, right. And DDT honestly doesn't have the audience like the others did.
Well,
so I don't know how. Huh?
No, you're right.
Right. So I don't know DDT with an audience. I can't really say that.
Might be worth revisiting then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I would like to see them again with an audience.
Well, that's pretty crazy. In an empty arena, you gave a match 5 stars. That kind of speaks to the caliber this match was.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah. No point in this match did I ever think that an audience wasn't there. I was just so engrossed with what was happening from start to finish.
I honestly, I think that having the blackout of all the audience.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, is the reason why you don't miss it. I mean, when they had lights panning, you could, see a small group of people. Excuse me, but my throat's really bothering me today. Even though there wasn't an audience, I didn't feel it. I think because, and like I said at the beginning, because it was that blackout on the outside, and you were focused on the inside, and the camera work was very, very well done.
Oh, it was great. Like, that's one thing about DDT is the cameras are very steady and consistent with each other. It's not cut all the time.
Right. And I think, and what was one of the shows that I watched, I was like, it was driving me crazy. I think I was at your house at that time when we were watching one of the Japanese shows. And
that was Stardom when they were trying this new thing. Yeah, I know which one you mean.
It was so I didn't even want to watch it anymore. It was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
I was getting dizzy. Different cameras all the time, doing something.
You'd be incapable of watching WWE today.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's horrid.
Are they that bad?
So there was a network special from WWE last night, and a friend of mine wanted me to check out one of the matches.
Sure.
And I was like, all right. So I tried watching some of it this morning at work, just kind of there, and the cameras were just cut so often and so fast, and I was physically getting ill watching it. Like, my stomach was turning.
Oh, God. See?
Like, I just couldn't keep up with what was happening. It was shaking. I was incapable of watching it. And I don't think that's...
Because the camera was making you cuckoo.
Yeah. And I already hate the camera work to begin with. Mm-hmm. And that was just overkill. It felt like it was dialed up to 11.
Well, maybe they're trying out new people that just graduated college or something.
I think that's insulting college graduates.
maybe they're all a bunch of rookies. Yeah. Who knows? That's too bad. Well, good in respects for AEW, because more and more people are going to defect anyway. So maybe NFL. WWE will fall like his football company.
Alrighty. So that was DDT. Peter Pan. Mom, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Did you have a standout performer or favorite wrestler from the show?
Well, I would like to see what is his name? The sword holder.
Tetsuya Endo.
Yeah. Endo. I wouldn't mind seeing him again. And Tanaka. I like those two. And the of the women wrestlers, I wouldn't mind seeing Eruption again of the tag team.
Oh, Aki the mixed tag.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Maki Ito and Chris Brooks?
No,
the ones that
Eruption.
Beat him. Okay.
Yeah, Aki and Sakaguchi.
Okay, them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, interesting. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we got another podcast to record now, and I'll take us into Dragon Gate and then the retro stuff. So thanks, Mom, for joining me again.
All right.
R-E-T.
I'm still drinking. All right, hope everyone enjoyed DDT. Now that fans are coming back, we'll see if I keep up with DDT. I'm definitely liking their main event scene in 2020. Their big title matches is something I've grown to love. Their tag matches are incredibly interesting. But we did hear the RED music. It is Dragon Gate, the King of Gate tournament. we got the block finals and the finals itself in their little empty arena classroom that they've been doing this with. I've noticed that over the course of the tournament, the further we've gotten on, whenever someone of a certain generation has lost, and then when that certain generation is still in the tournament, all those people that are now out come ringside to support their fellow generation teammates. So in this final round, Block A here, we have Yamato versus Diamante. The people that have lost from RED are ringside, and the people that have lost from the Dragon Gate generation in Yamato are also ringside, supporting them. So that's inherently created an interesting environment over time. So it works in the form of that story. The problem was on that second weekend that they released a lot of these matches. That was a rough go through. Because that first weekend you were all excited. You were all, okay, who's going to go on in those first rounds? And then the second round you had good matches, but the environment was toast, right? But let's get on to Yamato versus Diamante. I thought this was just okay. Diamante took about 80% of the match with a small Yamato comeback. Nice missile dropkick. Very underrated move in wrestling. No one does enough of. That's right up there with my top rope plancha, the crossbody. Diamante tried a split-legged moonsault in the match and totally brains himself, as well as Yamato getting the knees up. So that was an oops, ouch moment. This still somehow worked as Yamato tried a host of flash pins right after that. Diamante then simply gets his dirty dancing bomb reversed into that Rana as Yamato flash pins him. I like the run from Diamante, and I think if you were going to have him come out strong and raise his stock, I think he should have won this match, actually. Unless the end goal is, of course, Yamato winning the whole thing. I'm not really seeing the bigger story here with either Diamante and Yamato. At this point. I see it now, but at this point I didn't see that. Now, Yamato has really pulled out kind of an MVP type performance during this King of Gate tournament. But we move on to the final round B block. That's Kickboy, Brave Gate champion Ishida against Dream Gate champion Naruki Doi. Champion versus champion here. And this ramped up to be amazing. And here's why. They started slow, and it wasn't quite ever 50-50 offense, but rather Ishida was going for the legs, and he kicks Doi at any point in time that he could. And this is all while Doi would just try to kill this poor kid. The best was easily the last 6 minutes of this match. Doi just turns on the afterburner as he does. He hits everything. Diamond Cutter, DDT, front flapjack, sliding D. The Doi 5. He goes for that sit out front flapjack and bam, kick to the shins, ankle lock. This was great. It's what I like about watching up and coming wrestlers. Those mid-carders that you're just waiting to break through that glass ceiling and get to the main event. The biggest sign that they have all the tools in the making to become a main eventer is something like this. In Kaito Ishida's case, I believe he's only 24. When they just know how to hit their offense at the right times and put a wrestler on the ground or hit their high-flying moves, whatever it may be, they know their excuse me. They know their craft and when to do it. So Doi counters out of the ankle lock. Ishida knocks into the ref, and finally, we've waited the entire tournament for this. RED finally interferes. They run the train on Doi, then Dragon Gate boys help out and run the train on Ishida. Doi looks to finish, and then Hyo, of all people, takes advantage. Crazy Hyo, chair to the back, Mr. Fuji powder to the face. Ishida rolls up Doi. The Brave Gate champion has pinned the Dream Gate champion. What a turn of events I popped hard for this. I loved this booking. I loved the holding off on RED interference until the champ was involved. I loved the second title beating the main title. That's a huge thumbs up for me. All it does is raise the stock of Ishida and that Bravegate title. And Doi was quadruple teamed, basically, and it took a roll up with powder to the face. I don't think this knocked Doi off at all. All this did was do a lot of things great. So this gets a huge thumbs up from me. This was something I was waiting on this entire tournament for. It was things like this. And then we got our final round C block, Eita versus Dragon Dia. This was very good. Dia starts out hot and fast, and then tries to goes to blows with Eita. Dia's chops and forearms aren't great. And and I mean that kind of just Eita's staring at him going, look at this kid. And he just kills the poor young dragon. The match was very counter heavy, and that's a style I definitely like. It's more of that lucha style, right? Heavy heavy sticking to Dia's strengths, and often got thwarted from Eita with some sort of kick or power move by his definition, Eita's definition. And the ending was absolutely great as Dia goes for the Reptilian Rana, and it's countered into a great hard power bomb. Eita's hits the Gory bomb, countered into a Crucifix bomb, because as you know, you don't do that kind of stuff on the Crucifix bomb, guys. Dia goes for another Reptilian Rana once more, and just like Benkei, just gets his head decapitated from his body with that super kick. Eita pulls him up before 3, and gives him one more super kick to the head, and puts him down convincingly. This match was out of this world. It's one of my favorite of the tournament. All 3 of these were, the Yamato Diamante match had its flaws, but I think every match got better and better on this night. So our finals are Yamato, Ishida, and Eita, with our last chance battle royal winner to be crowned. And let's get into it. Loser last chance battle royal. Just to recap, my pick was Benkei to win here, and it seems all the wrestlers drew lots, and half the field was eliminated just by being unlucky. So I thought that was an interesting way. There's an old kind of martial arts and sports saying where you have to be I know there's a bowling saying, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and that's kind of the case here. So the other half battled for it. I usually like comedy battle royals, but this was for a semi-final spot in King of Gate, right? And there was just a bunch of comedy here with Hio and Big R of RED. Benkei just gets low-bridged like a dumbass to be eliminated by Hio of all people. So huge thumb down to Dragon Gate. At least in my opinion, maybe I wasn't in the right mood for something like this, but it's kind of like my stickler for Orange Cassidy's role in the casino ladder match, where I don't like an emphasis on comedy and ridiculousness in serious matches with serious stakes on the line. Maybe a comedy spot like 1 or 2 is good, but that's what this entire battle royal was. Then later, this battle royal made KZ look stupid while he gets tossed by Big R. His Dragon Gate buds catch him, saves him from elimination. KZ then turns his back on the ring, and he does the whole save, and then Big R just knocks him off anyways. So I was like, what the fuck is happening here? Finally, Santa Maria Crucifix bombs Big R, pins him, and of course, Santa Maria celebrates, turns her back, and then Doi just throws her out. I thought this was stupid. A few inventive and creative pins, sure, but overall, with Doi winning, I say this accomplished nothing. I think now it kind of cheapens Ishida's win on top of it. This gets a thumbs down from me. So they did a lottery to find out the semifinals. Semifinals 1 is Naruki Doi versus Ishida. So a repeat, or a redemption story, if you will, of the B Block finals. The problem with this is because it's a repeat in this tournament of a match we just saw, this immediately diminishes Ishida's win over Doi further. So you got Doi back in the tournament, and now he's facing the same guy that just beat him. Not to mention how utterly trashy the Battle Royal was for Doi to regain the entry. This all came across as lazy to me, and the match was difficult to get invested to from the start. Match was nothing, including the finish. No RED interference, not really anyways, nothing to overcome. Doi just rolls out of the ankle lock, hits 2 flapjacks into sliding Ds, and just pins him. So, what was the point? Very underwhelming. I'm extremely disappointed in all this. This just lowered the stock back down in my eyes. That big win, the big RED turn, and then, yeah, it fell super flat to me. I hated it. I got a big sour taste in my mouth from it all. And that's really sad coming, if you could hear my voice, how excited I was when all that happened. But semifinals 2 is Yamato versus Eita. This match was great. Yamato outmuscles and hits Eita, leading into the classic heel ref pull, and that's when Eita just kicks him straight in the nuts. So, yeah, now fundamentally, the match was fine. Eita heat, Yamato comeback, denied, you know the game. So, the problem here, I had to watch this match twice, but my initial first match was the prior match killed all the moves, and the lack of atmosphere made this important match lack all the needed sorts of drama and investment. The end was good, I can say, on my first watch. Yamato has Eita dead to rights with a rear naked choke after hitting a fisherman driver. Eita rolls over and smothers the ref while Yamato keeps the choke on. And, my god, BB Hulk finally shows his face and cracks Yamato in the back with a chair, kicks him in the head. Eita almost gets caught with a Flash Hurricane Rana, but follows up with 3 super kicks to win. It took the entire tournament here as well, but BB Hulk screws Yamato. So my prediction of it happening was indeed correct. It just didn't happen in the first round. It happened in the semifinals. So I was like, damn it. You guys couldn't do this earlier. Eita versus Doi in the finals, which I guess is fine, but the way the champion went out and back in, again, it's uninteresting. Eita must win this, or I will be an unhappy fan. So, the second time I watched the match, I got all of that Naruki Doi stuff out of my system. The second time around, this match was way better. I did like it. Again, just that sour taste kind of ruined that for me. So, King of Gate Finals. Eita versus Dreamgate champion Naruki Doi. And this is Eita's now second year in a row he's in the King of Gate Finals. Just going to check my audio. It's working, it seems. So that's good. Still good. I'm so nervous about it today. First 6 minutes was Doi working over Eita using mat work, so you kind of got the feeling this match was going to go a little bit long. Then the next 5 was Eita working over Doi's arm after posting him. The next 2 were them exchanging chops and forearms. So here I am thinking, unless that arm work plays into a story, these first 13 minutes felt like killing time and wasting mine. That's a bad feeling. Eita at least put Doi in a Rings of Saturn at the 15-minute mark after a cool sling shot grapple reversal, which was pretty awesome. Doi gets out of that, spams that combo button, hit the Doi 5. Big moves, no selling the work to arm, nor the submission. So at this point, I'm like, there's like 2 minutes of interesting action. Then they went to the near fall action, countering every move imaginable. This was fun. And then something magical happened. To my utter and complete shock, with a countered super kick, Eita locks in another Rings of Saturn, but it's a variation and he's using his legs to clasp the arms behind Naruki Doi's back, and Doi submits clean. My eyes grew big. I immediately go, I take it all back. This was awesome. It's amazing that journey of emotions it took me through. The story played out as perfectly well as you can imagine. I had all of the doubts going in, but when it finally happened, it made total sense, and the champ has lost. This match clocked in at 18 minutes, 51 seconds. It didn't overstay its welcome in this empty arena setting. In fact, I watched this match a second time with a much clearer head, and I loved it even more. That's 2 matches in a row I had to watch more than once. Out of my own curiosity, I rewatched the Doi KZ match from Truthgate, and in hindsight, I think on a second watch that match is better overall than this one. However, the story and importance of this match is better in that regard. Eita wins his first King of Gate after losing in last year's final to Pen-K, and will now get his very first Dream Key and shot at the Open the Dreamgate Championship of his career. Extremely hard to believe with how long this dude has been more or less at the top, I use that in quotes, and pushed as hard as he is. He's never had a key before. Eita defeated Strong Machine J, Benkei, and Dragon Dia. That's all 3 trios champions. And Yamato, the Dragon Gate ace, before beating Doi, the Torimon ace. Well, I guess that's Yoshino, I guess, technically. But Doi's the champion, so we'll go with him. This run meant he beat all of those aces, including the Triangle Champions, on his way to victory. Dragon Gate is all in on Eita. After 4 years of being portrayed as this top guy, he has finally broken through that ceiling. Now the question is, will Eita now win the title from Doi and call out Yoshino to retire him? Or will Eita lose the title match and in his frustration and anger take it out on Yoshino, leading to his retirement match? That's the story that's being told here. Dragon Gate could easily pull a 180 and do the big Doi-Yoshino retirement match, especially with their history. They could do that, but I'm going by the promos and kind of what I'm getting the feeling of, the direction they're heading. Either scenario, I would be totally pumped for. This tournament win has elevated Eita to that main event in my eyes, finally, and winning clean only submits to that level. In his post-match promo, he said it's nonsense he must bother even challenging for the title after winning King of Gate and beating the champion on his way. So maybe this is a setup for a different Kobe World, or this is just a heel promo. So yeah, the King of Gate had its ups and downs for sure. It certainly had a lot of downs. I did not like the setting that they were at, but when it came to the biggest egregious to me is still that second Doi Ishida match. There were some stinkers, there were some uninteresting matches in there. I thought Ishida did look like a bigger star coming out of it. Very impressive. But again, that Doi match really brought it back down for me. The Eita run and Yamato run was extremely impressive. Yamato was that workhorse MVP, and Eita is just pushed to the moon. It's kind of hard to deny where Dragon Gate sees him. Will the fans see it the same way? That same question I asked with Ice Ribbon, with Suzu and Maya and company going forward. Will Eita get that same treatment? Will they hold off on bigger fans? I guess we'll find out together. God, we get to talk about New Japan? That shit never happens. It's been since February. Here we go. Drop ready. Haven't played that music in forever. Yes, New Japan, they are coming back and with a vengeance. They're doing a mystery card show upon recording this on the Monday, and then going straight into the New Japan Cup. Empty arena all the way until the finals, and then Dominion, which both will be, I believe, 1/3 crowd capacity at Osaka-jo Hall. If you look at the bracket, it's extremely similar to the lineup as 2019's. So, unfortunately, I kind of expect it'll mostly be the same with a few changes / upsets, if you will. So, just a small prediction here. Top left of the bracket, I expect it will be Ishii versus Hiromu. And based on New Japan's history of juniors, Ishii is the expected winner to the semis. Bottom left of the bracket, I predict will be Okada over Minoru, then Okada beating junior heavyweight Ishimori, leaving an Ishii-Okada semi with Okada winning. So kind of the same situation last year. Top right is tough because we could see either Taichi or ZSJ upset Tanahashi and Ibushi. I use the word upset in quotes because this obviously happens more often than you think. But there's definitely should be one upset. I doubt we're going to get Ibushi Tanahashi in the next round. So I'm going with ZSJ upset over Ibushi. That seems to be a running gag in New Japan. Then Tanahashi beats ZSJ. Also another running gag, as is the New Japan Cup rivalry. Sonata versus Shingo is a toss-up, so I'm going to go with my favorite, Shingo. And then Shingo over Tanahashi, because why not? Bottom right, I got Evil going through over Gatoh, and then, unfortunately, Yoshihashi seems to have easy street until he faces Shingo in the semis. This all sets up Shingo beating Okada to win the New Japan Cup and face Naito in a triple title match. I joke, of course, that won't happen. Definitely not. So, because I said that, Shingo probably will get upset by Sho in the first round, setting up the open weight title match. Definitely change all that. Sonata versus Evil in the semis with Sonata. Maybe this could be a surprise to us all. And this leads to a repeat of last year, Okada-Sonata. And this time Sonata wins. We could have a complete repeat where Okada wins. So I think Sonata would be the likelier one, but it wouldn't be out of the realm where New Japan just goes on the safe side. Let's get Okada in the main event of Dominion. Another one versus Naito. That's the biggest money match. Because I just don't think they will do faction members against each other. But maybe this could surprise us all, and this leads to Hiromu winning, giving us the match that we never got versus Naito. There you go. My own personal prediction, I'm going for the triple title match, Shingo. And because it's my prediction, get the lucky kid treatment where he loses in the first round. Alright. With that, I'm going to take a break here, and we can go into the retro section of the podcast. Alrighty, we are back. I'm back from my tiny little break I took in between. I'm all refreshed. In fact, freshly shaven. That's the kind of break I took. It is the retro section of the Red Leaf Retrocast, WrestleCast edition. We're back with episode 59. We are continuing on with the All Japan Women Classic journey. Man, we started in the 70s. We're approaching the end of 1987 here. Unfortunately, it seems like we're going to start to come up to a lot of retirements of bigger stars. I'll have to get into that in a second here, unfortunately. Whoa, kitty cat. He's seeing something over there. Let's see. Yes, this is, I got something special ready for this section here. Quite excited. So yes, All Japan Women's Classics. We're on episode 22. You can find these via Samurai TV, old archives from like Puroresu Dream. I had to put it out. All matches from AJW War Dream show from Ota Ward Gymnasium from October 20th, 1987. Oh yeah, my cat has seen... Yeah, he's chasing a bug or a wasp or something. I don't know. He's full on. October 20th, 1987. Let's keep going here. It's Devil Masami versus Pantera Serena. If you don't recognize that name, perhaps, like myself, you now know her under a different name, under the name La Galactica, the masked champion that we saw versus Jaguar Yokota when we first started this All Japan Classic journey. Not much here in this match, unfortunately. They brawl outside after only about 2 minutes, and then they go for a double countout. It's the post-match promo that Devil Masami cut that's very important for this moment in time. My first time hearing her speaking on the mic, and boy, is that not what I envisioned her voice to sound like. It's very timid sounding. I believe she announces her retirement at the end of the next Cork and Hall show, which is in the next AJW Classic episode from December 87. I have something special I'm going to play just from this moment. Here we go.
デビルの戦いが終了したのだ。
皆さんに、今の、私の気持ちを聞いていただきたくて、時間を作っていただきました。もう何年か前から考えてはいましたけれども、やっと自分の気持ちに踏ん切りがつきました。12月の6日後楽園、今年1年の最終戦であります12月6日に正式に日本のリングを引退させていただきます。約試合としては1ヶ月間しかございませんが、一生懸命皆様に最後のデビル正美の姿を見ていただけるように、一生懸命毎日自分なりにデビル正美らしい試合を見ていただけるように、あと1ヶ月頑張ってまいりますので、どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
Yeah, it's not what I pictured or how I envisioned her voice sounding at all. I'm very sad. We experienced the Jaguar Yokota big time retirement there, and now Devil Masami. I am for sure going to be seeking out her JPW and Gaia matches shows during this journey as we get to that point in time. We're still quite a ways off in terms of when we'll get to that point of the podcast, but yeah, this one, Jaguar Yokota, I really loved watching her matches. I wish there were more that I could have watched on this journey for the podcast specifically. I've seen a lot of Devil Masami now. Saw her big time title reign. It's that was a moment. You don't expect her to sound like the way she does. The crowd definitely reacted to this news in shock. You could hear it in the way the crowd was and applauded her. You can definitely, just the age in which all these women had to retire based on the rulings of the time. It's no wonder that when the 90s rolled around that they ended up all coming out of retirement. Our next match is the U.S. Expedition send-off match for the Jumping Bomb Angels. They take on the team of Linus Asuka and Mitsuko Nishiwaki. So this is just before the Angels went off to wrestle for the WWF for a while, including their Survivor Series appearance and them gaining the international recognition. A big honor for the Angels. Quick, simple match here. Made the fans happy. Win via the German pin on Mitsuko. Pretty much expected there. And they're off to fight the Glamour Girls. They go. 3WA tag title match, 2 out of 3 falls, because of course it was. It's the Red Typhoons, the champions, defending against Bull Nakano and Condor Saito. This is interesting, especially since not too long ago we saw the end of the tag tournament in which the Red Typhoons not only didn't win, but they weren't the champions anywhere, so we totally missed them winning the titles. At least in that it's been long enough where I don't remember it already. And Bull Nakano and Condor Saito during that tournament had a very, very strong run. They also didn't win it either. So first off, 3 out of the 4 girls here are wearing half black and white gear. So I'm like, come on now. Aesthetically, this is aggravating. But second off, Condor Saito's right shoulder is just heavily taped. Seeing all these retirements, it made me question, how is Condor still wrestling of all people? I always see her taped up mummy style, and she's been around since episode 1, I believe. So it's quite amazing, really. So that just kind of shows how young she started during all this. And something occurred to me. I can't 100% confirm this, but the referee in this match looked shockingly like the referee in Stardom in Daichi Murayama. I did a little bit of digging here, the best I could, and there is an extremely high chance this is indeed him, which I found pretty crazy. The resemblance is uncanny, just looks like a younger version. The cadence is all the same. As far as I'm concerned, this is him. It could be just coincidentally someone who looks like him, and the timeline just matches up. Again, I couldn't confirm this 100%, so it's just kind of my own speculation, really. But anyways, Nakano was quite good when she was in the match due to her heavy brawl style, of course, but mostly this was a ground game from the Red Typhoons versus Saito. The crowd was quite dead for this one, unfortunately. Quick first fall for the Typhoons after a Nakano misfired leg drop on Kondo. And then a second shoot pin style for Nakano to even it up, because they always must go to 3 falls. Very rare that they don't. Kind of like in Mexico. Third fall was all ground game, so started mostly drop kicks from the Typhoons to do their own pile driver. That wait a minute. All right, here. Third fall. The finish. The finish got a great crowd reaction, at the very least, as Condor and Nakano basically no-sell pile drivers, of all things. So it's like a modern-day Canadian Destroyer, just without the flip. They avoid the missile drop kicks from the Typhoons. They do their own pile drivers, and they followed it up with a double German to win the tag titles. So definitely far from the best tag match I've seen here in All Japan Women. But post-match, Dump Matsumoto embraces and congratulates her little faction friends. So there you go. Nice. We're seeing a lot of that from Dump Matsumoto. She hasn't been in the ring lately. She's kind of given her ring time to the younger wrestlers. And man, unfortunately, I looked it up. She's close to retirement as well. Big time bummer. And that takes us into our main event. It's title versus title, championship versus championship. 3WA World Champion and my least favorite of all time, Yukari Omori, versus the 3WA All Pacific Champion, Chigusa Nagayo. So think of your white belt versus red belt face-off here for the Stardom fans out there. Music hits, bam. Crowd immediately bursts out into unison chants that I will now play for you because it's absolutely crazy. Here we go.
3WA シングル王者の大森ゆかりとオールパシフィック王者の長与千草が互いのチャンピオンベルトをかけた2冠選手権が実現した。デビルアスカを破り、この時点で最強保持していた大森とオールパシフィックの絶対王者だった長与、世紀の一戦が始まった。
Yeah, it's absolutely insane how the crowd reacts to her. Nagayo came out kneeling on a bamboo throne, being paraded around the ring for this title versus title match. Then the music hits for Omori, and there's nothing to say there. She comes out in her very bizarre American football shoulder pads. Not much of a crowd reaction there. The star power, to me, is just simply night and day. It's just so funny. It's like, hey, great idea for ring gear. All right, you ready? Okay, here's what I got. All right, I'm listening. Okay, plain black onesie, swimsuit style, and American football shoulder pads. Okay, great. Move on. So it's a whole lot of kicking from Nagayo, as one would expect, with basically Omori just not selling any of it because she's, to me, not capable of doing such a thing. Omori resorting to her baseball-like wind-up atomic chop that she does. It's horrible. It's like she wants to be Wahoo McDaniel, but has none of that imposing force behind it. And if she wanted to attempt an actual move, too bad. Gotta go for that chop. Mid-match, Omori no-sells a wheel kick and just clubs Nagayo. So, as you can tell, I'm not a fan of this match. This is where Nagayo rolls to the outside and then just emerges bleeding from the head, because I guess you just have to gig. It's like Omori has porcupine-like hairs on her forearm. We learn something new every day. From this point forward, Nagayo bleeds like a stuffed pig from here on out, and of course, Nagayo basically no-sells and Omori goes to offense. It's painful just saying it, but Nagayo kicks back. Omori hits a very ugly flapjack. She really tries. Omori goes to the top for reasons I can't explain. And this is where Nagayo basically no-sells that kick she received. Kicks Omori off the top of the mat, and then Nagayo goes to the top, which I can't ever remember seeing. And Nagayo pulls off the ugliest looking moonsault you could possibly imagine without the person landing on their own head or hurting themselves. It was quite a spectacle to see. And she wins the title. It's crazy. I was like, oh, thank God the reign of Omori is over. All hail Chigusa. Banzai. Almost immediately, Nagayo has a mic in her hand, and she gets into some heated words with someone on the outside. There's a small pull apart between that person. Nagayo even calls in Asuka to get involved, and then Omori seems upset, like this is a shoot fight or something. I thought at first this was the former MMA fighter Kandori, but I'm probably mistaken there, because I remember Kandori came into All Japan later in the 90s, so this seems way early for that. Perhaps it happened early in time. Like, this is the teaser to her getting involved in All Japan Women, and it just didn't pan out with Nagayo. So, this all was very interesting to me. I might have to like go into some old Wrestling Observer newsletter things and seek out something from the late 80s here. Who this was exactly, what the idea was behind it. If this was Kandori, why did it take years and years for this to get made? But Nagayo is presented with the title, the biggest trophy you've ever fucking seen in your life. It's legit bigger than she is, and she holds this sucker easily with one arm. I'm quite impressed. So, historically, a very, very important show, and in time for women's wrestling in the world. So, if you want to go back and watch this, this was the All Japan War Dream show from October 20th, 1987, or just episode 22 of the Classics. So I definitely recommend this one, just from a historical perspective alone, and just to hear everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I'm going to play the next drop, and we can move on to New Japan through the 90s. Yes, alrighty. Audio's doing well. Second session I'm throwing out here. New Japan through the 90s. I've been really bad about doing this, but no other notable matches from this time frame. Just not enough time, I guess. But this is the show, February 8th, 1992, the Sapporo Nakajima Sports Center. And let's just get through this. We got 5 matches to go through, I believe. Wrestling versus karate mixed martial arts game. It is not a Hashimoto match. It is Michiyoshi Ohara versus Akirashun Saito. I am not familiar with either of these guys. But, yep, it's a garbage worked shoot fight stuff here. Crowd liked Karate Man Ohara, although his name does sound familiar now that I say it out loud. Just lots of strikes, then mat work. The teams... the whole teams of seconds and whatnot, they'd go to blows outside. Both dudes gig each other in the ring. A lot of headbutts, and then Ohara gets a knockout kick. So there's a scrum from both teams after the match as Ohara tries to just beat the dude post-match into the ground. A shitty spectacle, I would say. If I was to compare it, it would be very similar to the AEW Tyson showing, but less comical and authentic in its own little ways. This just felt forced. Our next match is Shinya Hashimoto teaming up with Akira Nogami. Interesting combo there. They're versus Brad Armstrong and Pegasus Kid. Yes, Benoit. So Armstrong was all NWA old mat work style. I found it pretty boring, as I do with most Brad Armstrong stuff. A lot of people like Brad Armstrong, though. I'm just not ever feeling it. He just seems like he's more of a 70s guy. But holy shit, Benoit versus Nogami was out of this world awesome. Just great chemistry, and then the star power mixed in with Hashimoto just made this very investable. It's really too bad Benoit and Hashimoto were basically kept apart here. That is a combo I would just love to see. And as soon as Armstrong gets back in, he's destroyed by Hashimoto and pinned, so I kind of laughed at that. Scott Norton versus Tony Halm is our next match. I have more than 5, actually. 6. So these two go to immediate blows. No fucking around this time. Norton shoulder blocks Halm off his feet. Crowd chants for Norton. Great response for Flash here. But basically, Halm gets control back and lurks around the ring doing kidney shots to Norton. The crowd vastly dislikes this unhonorable fighting tactic. Norton does club the back a number of times. Big shoulder block, power slam, and then he gets a huge finish brute in the torture rack. Without much torture, mind you, he just simply then falls back and pins him. I thought this was very strange. The crowd reactions was definitely something I was paying attention to more than the match itself. How much Tony Halm is just viewed as a legit dude, and then how much the crowd has come to the side of Norton just as he goes against a lot of these beefy dudes over time. So New Japan is very much behind the Scott Norton train. Pun intended. And Halm is very good at being a big dude that puts dudes over eventually. It's good booking. Simple booking. It's not the most exciting wrestling, nor is it the most exciting programs, but the end goal does the job, at least in terms of historical viewpoints. Tatsumi Fujinami teams up with Shiro Koshinaka versus Hiroshi Hase and Keiji Muto. So it starts off real slow. But after 5 minutes, Shiro starts in the ring, and the combo of him versus both Muto and Hase, it's what I can only describe as the acrobatic sequence we see in much of wrestling today, where two guys will quickly go through a routine of sorts, drop down, leapfrog, cartwheel, you name it, and then both end with, say, a drop kick at the same time, and then they'll stare at each other and the crowd will clap kind of situation. Shiro does this with both dudes, Hase and Muto, and then Hase puts him in a side headlock, and as soon as this happens, Fujinami just steps into the ring and axe handles him. The crowd absolutely hated this man disrupting the great sequences. Gets a big wow factor for me. I kind of wish you'd see this today, where, say, Ospreay and Ricochet would go through this motion in a tag match, right? And you have, I don't know, let's say Minoru Suzuki on one side of the team, and as soon as his dude starts getting beaten up a little bit or in some headlock, Minoru Suzuki just comes in and forearms the piss out of the dude. Get off my teammate situation. I'd love to see that. If you guys got some modern day clips of something like this happening, dude, tag me at BowlingJD. I gotta see these. Unfortunately, it's very standard affair from there. Lots and lots and lots of mat work. Just not exciting nor enticing at all. The crowd is pretty much dead for it as well. It's weird, though, because the match just kind of ends off a Northern Lights suplex by Hase on Shiro. Very strange by the book, nothing happening tag match besides that 5-minute sequence in. IWGP Junior WCW World Light Heavyweight Double Title Match. Yes, that is what's written there on the New Japan site. It's a mouthful. It's Jushin Thunder Liger versus Norio Hanaga. So We've seen 2 of these matches before this. I loved both of these fucking things. I love these two going at it with each other. We got a big time double title match. Big entrances for both, especially Liger, and then a full national anthem, making this a huge deal. Boy, for a double title match, unfortunately, this was very dull, especially for that first 10 minutes. It's all ground game, doing nothing. There was a small sequence of palm strikes from Liger. I thought that was going to be something, but it just went right back to the mat. There was one spot of a front suplex from the top, so they teased going to the top and then didn't deliver. So it wanted you to finally have this match just start heading somewhere, right? Hanage works the back and the ribs. It's not even breaking a sweat. At 12:35, the crowd finally starts a Liger chant, probably wanting something to finally happen in this match. Took 16 minutes into the match for Liger to start a comeback, and he did a couple high-flying moves, and finally was all I was thinking here. The power game over Liger from Hanaga was at least a story here that you could track. My cat jumps off the mic stand. There was a cool counter from Hanaga giving Liger an electric chair out of the shoulder roll-up. That was cool. It's Liger, bouncing off the ropes, hits the shoulders, and wants to roll through. Hanaga just, electric chair, get off me. That was cool. Other than that, it went into Liger hitting a Frankensteiner on Hanaga, and it kind of had that last-ditch effort feeling. And he just falls and stays on top of Hanaga, back to stomach. So that was cool, and that's how Liger got the pin. So, unfortunately, other than those couple instances in this very long 16-plus minute match, I can't say I was into this match at all and found it mostly boring. So that was a big bummer, considering I loved their first 2 encounters on this New Japan 90s journey here. We got our main event, Riki Chosu teaming up with Chono, taking on Crusher, Bam Bam Bigelow, and never seen this guy before, Monsieur Rimbaud. Very French name. No idea who this Rimbaud fellow is. Before the bell rings, Bigelow does he does a forward roll, and then he does Bruce Lee karate taunts. The crowd loved this, and Bigelow even got a big smirk out of Chosu in that reaction. It was quite funny. So I knew I was in for a good one immediately. It's all right, this is I'm invested already. Rimbaud is, by definition, a generic curly-haired tall dude with a good physique. You wouldn't be able to pick him out in a wrestling lineup if you threw him in with a bunch of well-built jobbers. He dons combat boots and army camo pants, so generic-looking boot camp dude on top of it all. Bigelow is quick and to the point, mixed well with Chosu. I will say that. This is very solid. It's not a great match, but Bigelow has its points. If Bigelow was not in this match, this would have been extremely skippable. It won't blow your socks off, just say. Finish is Chono catches Bigelow in the ropes, trying to break up Chosu's Scorpion Deathlock in the ring. Chosu then clotheslines Bigelow out of the ring and finishes off Rimbaud with a clothesline. Not a hard one, mind you, just that Chosu clothesline, and it's over. So, there's some historical interest here, but I would say this this February 8th, 92 show was very skippable. There is some highlights there to be had for sure, but nothing major, I would say, worth seeking out. Next up are matches in the archives, the New Japan archives from March to May 1st, 92. So this is the 5 matches here we got planned for next episode. I'll try to find a match to watch from January to May 92 that doesn't involve, I believe that's the year Vader took on Sting. So I'll try to find something else, since I've already covered that in a past episode. Let's get on to probably why you're all here for the rest of the section. That's WCW. All right, everybody. We are here to talk WCW. We're continuing our journey through 1998. Yes, I've decided we're doing 99. We'll see how 99 goes if I continue into the 2000s, or I decide to switch to something like, I don't know, Torimon or Noah or something during that time frame. But yes, we have reached World War III from 1998, the pay-per-view on this journey from WCW. Let's recap my guess of the card. I know a lot of you have liked this part of guessing WCW card pay-per-views at this point. I have recapped for sure. Advertised matches include Juventud versus Rey Mysterio Jr. for the Cruiserweight title, Hall versus Nash, DDP versus Bret Hart for the US title, the World War III Battle Royal with only Lex Luger announced for sure in it, and then I had my guesses. Goldberg versus Bigelow or Goldberg versus Hogan. Who the hell knows? Toss a coin on that one. Jericho versus Duncan Jr. for the TV title. That was a big maybe just because of what we saw on Nitro. Saturn versus Conan. That's a big maybe. And then the advertised tag title match of Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell taking on Rick Steiner and Judy Bagwell for the tag titles. Also a maybe, because that was also advertised. But not confirmed because Judy Bagwell's in the hospital thanks to Scott Steiner, supposedly. Kinda, sorta. We come from Auburn Hills in Michigan. Tony Schiavone introduces us to Goldberg arriving via a limo, as he will look on for the winner of World War III. So I guess there is not a Goldberg match tonight. Strike one, WCW. Swing and a miss. Hogan is then announced as not being in the Battle Royal. And perhaps we will hear why on Nitro tomorrow night. I'm watching this and I'm already flabbergasted. I'm scratching my head, I'm shaking, I'm smiling, I'm going, you know what? I'm going to try and not get angry at this. I'm just going to laugh at how incompetent all this is already, and I'm barely a minute in. They do some rigmarole over who could win the 60-man Battle Royal, as opposed to doing it on TV, which, that would be crazy. And then we start with our first match. It's what was going to be on Nitro, Wrath versus Glacier. Wrath defeats Glacier in 8 minutes, 22 seconds. The first match for 98 World War III is an unadvertised singles match of Glacier versus Wrath. Meltdown versus Ice Pick. Here we go. Some delays by Glacier with massive boos. A fun whip over the railing into the crowd by Wrath. I thought that was cool. Real cool seeing the visual of fans swarming the wrestlers. I kind of wish more people do that today, but the fans are much more civilized. At least in the crowds. Anyways, Wrath did a couple heel moves with feet on the ropes, choking with a TV cable, which was weird, considering he's a fan favorite at this point in time. The match was slow, not great, had a flat finish, a missed cryonic kick, which I thought was funny. Then Wrath blocks the ice pick, and no joke, this was the finish. Boot to the gut, meltdown done. I absolutely bursted out in laughter and tears. Just no build to anything. It was really funny. Crowd pop for the meltdown, so there's that at least. And then we get, after this match, the most 90s video with the great, fantastic Bret Hart promo that I am now going to play for you guys because I loved it so much. So I gotta pull it up. There it is.
The best there ever was. And the best there ever will be, Bret Hitman Hart!
I'll tell you why I've been on. I got something I got to prove here in the WCW. I'm not afraid of anybody, see? I don't care who it is. Booker T, he thought he was the big shot, right? I had to take him. I almost crippled him. I almost ended his career. You know why? Because I don't like him. You want to take Lex Luger. Lex Luger is nothing but a big, huge, muscle-bound idiot. He thinks he's got muscles. He thinks that makes a great wrestler. It doesn't. What makes a great wrestler is technique. Lex Luger, he's lucky. He's lucky that he even walks around today, because I could have ended his career, but I didn't. I showed a little mercy. I don't like to show a lot of mercy anymore, because it doesn't pay off. Now you take Chris Benoit. Now this is a guy that I took under my wing up in Canada. He wouldn't be where he is today if it wasn't for me and the rest of my family. Do you think he showed the same respect to me when I came to the WCW? No. Chris Benoit looked out for himself. He forgot his Canadian heritage. He forgot that I was like a brother to him. So what did I do? I took Chris Benoit and used him as another example. I set another example, just a little slight example. I ripped his elbow up. It's like, Chris, that's a little warning for you, okay? Next time it might be your head. Next time it might be your legs. Maybe I'll take his legs and throw him out into the crowd. Chris Benoit, don't cross me. Don't ever cross me again. Now you take Dallas Page. Let me go back about Dallas Page. This guy is a punk. He had the nerve to come in the ring unprepared. I put my title on the line. I put it on the line against this punk strictly because this guy prides himself in being a people's champion. He has nothing to do with being a people's champion. How could they love a guy like Dallas Page, covered from head to toe in tattoos? He's got earrings and stuff. To me, that is a sign of a real punk. I take pride in the fact that I tried to end his career. And if everyone can look at me right now, they can go, Bret Hart, the Hitman, did exactly what his name says. I'm the Hitman. Excellence of execution. That's me. Dallas Page, now that he's the United States Heavyweight Champion, I look for a chance to rip him apart the next time I step in the ring with him. I will use Dallas Page as an example.
He's unleashing like he never has before.
He's scum. And if we're all lucky, he'll never ever wrestle again. I'm a people's champion.
I loved it. Love that point where he says he's gonna rip Benoit's legs off and show him to the crowd. I love this Hitman Bret Hart character. He's so good. It's one of the few things about these Nitros I currently like and enjoy. But unfortunately, this is followed by a match, a wrestling match on a wrestling pay-per-view. Stevie Ray with Vincent defeats Conan by disqualification in 6 minutes 55 seconds. So the second bout at 98 World War III is the glory of horror of a random Stevie Ray versus Conan match. So we're 2 for 2 in another unadvertised match. Story going in was Stevie Ray, NWO versus Horseman, and Conan versus LWO and Saturn, so of course nothing has to do with another. And you cannot tell me this is part of the NWO Hollywood versus Wolfpack storyline, because WCW has done nothing with that feud at all. So the match was shit, and horrible as expected. It ends with Conan getting DQ'd for shoving the ref after Stevie gets slapjack accidentally by Vincent. Just garbage, a complete waste of time. This is when the veins in my forehead started kind of popping out a little bit. But luckily, Sonny Ono and the Cat are out. 3-time karate champion. They're taking on Kaz Hayashi and teammate Perry Saturn for no reason I can name. I'm assuming something happened on Thunder, so, you know, non-advertised match for pay-per-view. We're 3 for 3. Cat Nono versus the Extreme Random Pair here. At least Cat Nono versus Kaz is a sort of ongoing storyline here, and everything, as we know, is better with the 3-time World Karate Champion. So the match was sort of entertaining, more like something you'd see on Nitro with the Ono hijinks and trying to pay off Hayashi to not beat him up, and then the Cat doing his thing and whatnot. Ono has a whole corner crew, which I found really funny. Anyways, ends with the ref with Kaz. Cat kicks Saturn off the distraction. Ono pins Saturn, of all people. Why in all of the gods' name was this on a pay-per-view? People paid money for this. A lot of people paid money for this. Our next match is for the Cruiserweight title. It's Kidman taking on Juventud Guerrera. Match went 15 minutes and 27 seconds. 4 out of 4 for unadvertised matches. This was originally advertised as the Champion versus Rey Mysterio, but we're getting Kidman versus Juvi. So, turns out, randomly, seemingly, Juvi has joined the LWO, and Rey is calling them out after getting screwed on Monday Nitro. So, at the very least, Eddie's promo right here with Mean Gene and company explains the La Raza and not fighting each other. It's in their best interest of the group. The problem is that this should not have been on the pay-per-view. This is TV stuff. And further implies the wrestlers can simply change matches, which is dumb. And unexpectedly, the crowd is super dead for this match. Just absolute silence. If I wasn't positive there was a crowd here, you could have told me this was in an empty arena. You could hear just pins dropping. That's how dead this crowd was for Juvi versus Kidman. And we just saw this match on Nitro. I think 3 times in the last 5 weeks, or some iteration of it of some kind. There was some great wrestling here, I must say. Juvi did a springboard from one ring to ring 2 on the top ropes into a missile dropkick. That was cool. He even slipped a little bit on the ropes as he was going from ring to ring, but he was still able to pull it off, so that was nuts. Even Kidman did a plancha from one ring to the next. And then finally the crowd woke up to this particular near fall. But Christ, that took forever. Double springboard into a Frankensteiner from Juvi. Match got real good from this point forward. And then it ends with Mysterio right in front of the referee, holding Kidman down from getting Frankensteinered. Leads into Kidman hitting his shooting star press, re-winning the title after he lost clean on Nitro. So yes, another title change right away. And then, breaking the story, Eddie gives Rey Mysterio the choice to quit the LWO. Then in hilarity, after Rey throws the shirt at Eddie, Eddie goes, "Get him!" Very funny. And the LWO chases after a fleeing Mysterio. So they have a match. Rey joins the LWO. So Eddie does everything he can to rope this dude in. And then he just goes, "You know what? If you don't want to be here, you can just leave." Okay, bye. Hey, this LWO storyline is atrocious. So 5 for 5 now in unadvertised matches at World War III. This next match was advertised as Buff and Scott versus Judy and Rick for the tag titles. And what we have here is an, in quotes, unofficial singles match called off from an NWO beatdown. And yes, still going. Rick Steiner versus Scott Steiner. 10 months this has been going on. Fuck. And to top off the garbage of all this, during said beatdown, backstage, they actually injured Rick Steiner's right shoulder, causing him to be out for several months after this, forcing the tag titles to be vacated at a later date. Not until fucking January, though. So we go all the way through Starrcade and the next month until the tag titles are finally decided on. This really shows how much the tag titles were worth in the late 90s. Randomly, Goldberg comes out for the very late save on Rick Steiner, turns Scott Steiner around, and hilariously, and awesome, mind you, Steiner stares at Goldberg and then angrily gives him the middle finger and says, "Fuck you." But I guess this is Goldberg's 10 seconds in the ring, which has been an ongoing stupid thing in WCW. Crowd at least finally woke up for this part. Steiner then ignores Goldberg to try and beat up Rick some more. And then Goldberg turns him back. They do fisticuffs. Goldberg cuts Steiner in half with a spear and beats up the NWO guys, leaving them running. I guess asking for your champion to have a fucking match on a pay-per-view is too much to ask for. And if that seemed random and convoluted and you couldn't keep up with it, that's because it was. Yeah. So there was a brawl backstage. Rick gets to the ring. It's supposed to be a singles match. Because the referees won't do anything for Scott Steiner, it's a fake ref. The NWO beats up Rick anyways, and Goldberg makes the save. So maybe that's a little bit more clear. Yes. So stupid. I'm finding points of hilarity throughout all this, but mostly it's atrocious so far. Again, people spent money for this. It's the special return match from Havoc. Nash walked out on that match, by the way. That's advertised, by the way. Special return match. It's Hall versus Nash. The first of the 6 matches that was actually advertised for World War III in 1998. So Scott Hall comes to the ring with a host of guys from the NWO plus Bischoff, and fucking Christ, never mind. Bischoff just goes, "Get him!" So we get our second get him of the night. And now the advertised match isn't even happening. Nash comes out and saves Hall despite feuding with him for months, and then Hall just denies the whole Wolfpack joining sign. Crowd just barely reacts to any of this. Kind of boos Nash denying Hall of all things, which is stupid. Yeah, because Nash gave him the Wolfpack sign offering Hall to join, and Hall denies. No. Hall wants to... I don't fucking know. Who cares? One of them offers to join, and the other says no. It's all stupid. The crowd booed Nash, so it must have been Nash throwing up the sign. So unless something changes, I think it's safe to say this NWO Wolfpack stuff, because of its popularity, is one of the biggest busts in wrestling I can think of right now. A faction warfare story that has gone nowhere and no conceivable feud to speak of, highlighted by a drunk Scott Hall storyline, leads to 2 pay-per-view matches versus Nash. One is a walkout, and while the other just never took place. Advertised for pay-per-view. World War III 1998 continues on. WCW World Television title match. Yes, the TV title on a pay-per-view, not on TV. Chris Jericho with Ralphus defeats Bobby Duncombe Jr. in 13 minutes, 19 seconds. This wasn't advertised with World War III, but at least it's a rematch from Nitro the previous Monday. You could have, I suppose, guessed this like I did, that it could have been on the pay-per-view. So, 7 for 7 in either no contest or non-advertised matches for the pay-per-view. Anyways, crowd is super dead for this one. Can't imagine why. They have a mediocre match, Ralphus distraction, belt shot by Jericho, he retains. Whatever. Crowd couldn't care either. And then we finally get to the interesting things. The War Games match, the World War III match. 3-ring battle royal. So the rules of the match, as explained to me by Tony Schiavone on commentary, are as follows. 20 men start in each ring. The winner of the match will be set to face World Champion Goldberg at Starrcade next month. There are 3 ways to be eliminated. 1, thrown out of the ring and your feet touch the floor, either over the top rope or even through the ropes. So if you leave the ring, you are eliminated. Number 2, you can get pinned. And they have referees stationed around all 3 rings so they can see this. 3, you can submit, give up, and you are out. So there you go. Very simple. We all get it. Now, once 20 men in total out of the 60 remain, they will be restationed to a single ring, then the last man standing will win. And reiterated like in 1997, Hulk Hogan will not be in this match. The difference is he isn't the champion this year. So will he appear and just enter himself again? We shall see. The notable names in this match among jobbers and cruiserweights by ring, I wrote these down, are ring 1 on the left from the hard cam, Benoit, Eddie, and the 1996 winner, The Giant, on his way out to the WWF, by the way. Ring 2 in the middle, Jericho, Booker T, Wrath, The Cat, Scott Steiner, IWGP champion Scott Norton, 1997 winner Scott Hall, Mysterio Jr., and Lex Luger. And in ring 3 on the right, Kevin Nash. I think you can tell how this is going to go down. So based on the star power, we can pretty much immediately see the finals from each ring, right? So we have a counter on our left-hand screen for the remaining people in the match. The camera is trying to concentrate on a single ring at a time to kind of highlight who's who and what you're paying attention to. Cut to ring 3, Nash goes on a total rampage, chucking out jobbers and Mexicans. In a matter of 3 minutes, Nash clears ring 3. And that's what they concentrated on, so I liked that. That was a big positive. Within 5 minutes, we are down to 35 men in total. Giant is chilling in a corner in ring 1, and ring 2 is basically full. 9 minutes in, 25 are left out of the 60. Nash is alone in ring 3 within 3 minutes, chilling. No. Yeah, Giant's still chilling in the corner, and 6 dudes are left. Ring 2 is still basically filled at this point, so I was just kind of reiterating what the situation was. And then the bell sounds at the 10-minute mark, with Mysterio Jr. being the last guy out, signaling 20 men are left, and everyone has to go to ring 1. So at least the Nash and Giant story dominating their respective rings was there for quick eliminations, and they are adhering to the rules so far. Awkwardly, during the transition, Saturn and Kat decide to brawl, and they spill to the floor, and this apparently counts as an elimination to WCW. Before the official bell rings, we were down to 18. So, kind of awkward, but at least they said, hey, you exited the ring, which begs the question, why didn't everyone just keep fighting and not wait for everyone to get in? But within 20 seconds, the remaining cruiserweights and mid-carders are immediately eliminated, either by each other or the Giant. The remaining 13 in the ring are the NWO Wolfpack, NWO Hollywood, Malenko, Mongo, and Benoit of the Horsemen. Booker T and Wrath are your outside guy faction guys still in it, which I thought was kind of funny. Finally, the crowd erupts when they all start to brawl. I must admit, to this point, the match has been pretty fun to watch. And then Mongo eliminates Scott Norton, probably just to annoy me. Especially if you're going around Twitter and watching the Mongo Twitter that's been happening. And my love for Scott Norton during this podcast, it's, that kind of irked me a lot. Got a lot of heat from me. Down to 10, and then randomly, I'm not even kidding, Bam Bam Bigelow jumps the railing and tries to get in the ring. Then he just gets pummeled by the Wolfpack, never even getting to his feet in the ring. I have a theory. I'm almost positive that they thought this was a fan, and they just stopped what they were doing to take care of the fan. It's really funny. The Battle Royal just comes to a complete stop, and then Goldberg runs down to brawl with Bigelow. He kind of goes to the wrong side of the ring at first, and he's like, shit, and goes to the other side. I mean, it's kind of cool and spontaneous, but why do this at all? Like, you already did this on Nitro. Doing this on the pay-per-view isn't gonna make... Like, anyone who bought the pay-per-view is already watching Nitro. So you don't need to convince the pay-per-view buyers to watch Nitro. This just really took away from the Battle Royal. But yeah, and then I'm thinking, why wasn't this match on the pay-per-view instead of all those worthless matches that we just saw in the undercard? We missed Steiner, Wrath, and Booker T all eliminated because the camera's really bad during this, and we totally don't see it. Crowd chanting's Goldberg during this entire moment. So the final 7 are Malenko, Benoit of the Horsemen, NWO Wolfpack, Hall, and Giant. Everyone gangs up and eliminates the Giant, so your big guy's out. Then quickly, Malenko and Benoit simply get tossed by Luger and Nash because, they're small. Your final 3 are Luger, Nash, and Hall. And they all kind of go, hey, everyone for themselves kind of situation. So Luger forearms both Nash and Hall, so they go down. Goes for the rack on Hall, and then he just gets booted by Nash, and they both go over the top rope. Not one person in this match was eliminated by 2 of the 3 rules. No pinfall or submissions were in this match at all. All were dished out of the ring. Nash wins. The match itself wasn't all that bad, despite some camera issues of missing key eliminations. The build and factions helping each other was okay. Definitely not crazy about Nash winning at all, but at least he was perceived as dominant from start to finish. So the story was all there. I definitely could have done without the Bigelow-Goldberg brawl mid-match. That was stupid. Schiavone then congratulates Nash and says this was the best three-ring battle royal yet out of the 4, and I think I have to agree somehow. Nash versus Goldberg is set at Starrcade 1998. Everybody, get your cattle prods ready, boys. That'll take us into the main event of World War III, the U.S. title match, DDP versus Bret Hart. It goes 18 minutes, 31 seconds, so this only makes, at the end of the night, 2 out of the 9 matches in total on the card that actually happened that were advertised or not changed. Unbelievable. Anyways, quick start plancha from DDP. They brawl outside the rings for a while, and because of the 3 rings, it gets a cool little visual there. Side note, interesting fact. Since Fall Brawl, it's now 3 pay-per-views in a row Bret Hart has been in top-to-build matches for WCW, while DDP has been prominent since Bash at the Beach in July. The match was a lot of fun. Good technical affair working the legs from both guys, really, after that brawling. Nice little counter, including DDP booting Hart over the top rope to the floor as Hart went for his where he jumps off the top rope. He's going to sit down on the knee, but he gets booted over. Hart earlier in the match went for his rubber knuckles that he likes using. He's been utilizing a lot, but it gets knocked away and the ref pockets it. Very important to take note of that. Hart worked this match very heelish, and he should, including a boot to the nuts, as DDP grabs a chair, saying "fuck this guy" kind of moment. I can forgive this due to the fact he's already champion, and the feud that's been built up over months that they keep going back to. Ref, of course, takes the chair because you don't want the good guy to lose via DQ and keep his title. Crowd definitely would be happy about that. That's when Hart pushes him into the ref, knocking him out. So that's when Hart goes to the ref and gets his rubber knucks back. He clocks Page, and that's when the NWO hijinks start. As the paid-for Steiner Bagwell ref comes out to call for a submission victory for Hart on Page. But then a second WCW ref says, "No way this is legal," as we all would agree. And as Hart is now arguing with this referee, DDP raises and hits that beautiful diamond cutter for the victory. NWO and bad guy Hart thwarted via the good guy and WCW. Everybody leaves this piece of shit pay-per-view happy. A main event we can actually all enjoy, with no stupid shenanigans to speak of. This was a great match. It all made sense with their character work. It was entertaining. It all made sense in the storylines that were being told, with the referees not liking Scott Steiner and Bagwell, so they made sure the rules were enforced. I have no issue with this at all. It was a very well timed out match. The Battle Royal was actually kind of entertaining. So your only 2 matches that were advertised were the good ones. Unbelievable. So this got me thinking, with only Starrcade 98 left for the pay-per-view, to run down just kind of the main events of 1998 of WCW. I'm just going to list them here. January sold out 98, Luger vs. Savage for nothing in a Nitro-style NWO run with a Sting save. Waste of time. February, Super Brawl 8, Hogan vs. Sting rematch for the vacated title. This is the one where Hogan took 90% of the match in a beatdown, lots of no-selling. Savage interferes to cost Hogan and would take the belt from Sting and drop it a day later. So, yeah. March, uncensored, Hogan vs. Savage for the title in a cage that goes to a no contest with Disciple and Sting interference. This one infuriated me. I remember that one. April, Spring Stampede, Savage vs. Sting, where Hogan pushes Savage and legit tears Savage's ACL. Nash then powerbombs Sting and drags Savage over Sting to cover him with the win. Loser Sting is a loser storyline. May, Sting and Giant NWO versus the Outsiders for the tag titles. Well, this is where Hall turns on Nash, and the match ends with Giant winning. Bullshit. June, Great American Bash, Sting defeats Giant in a singles match for the tag titles where Giant couldn't give a fuck. I kind of like this one, to be fair, in a weird way. July, Bash at the Beach, Hogan Rodman defeats DDP Malone. August, Road Wild, DDP and Leno defeat Hogan Bischoff, so your celebrity summer that led to basically nothing. September, Fall Brawl, that atrocious War Games match won by DDP. October, Halloween Havoc, your Goldberg defeats DDP in a fun match that the cable provider shut the show off, so many people didn't see it because WCW is stupid. And finally here, World War III. Whew. Yeah, what a wild run with so much bullshit. And that's not even talking about the total stranglehold Hogan had throughout Nitro and on the pay-per-view. So, hey, that does it for the retro section. And now I can go into the wrestlers of the 2 weeks. So let me just play the final quick drop here and go through it all. Yeah, I'm very happy World War III ended on a positive note because I was in a fury. I was so mad watching that pay-per-view. Starting with the women, number 10 up. Tsukasa Fujimoto got 11. Nyla Rose at 10, Tae Honma 9, all caps Asuka at 8, 7 Yuka Sakazaki, 6 Britt Baker, 5 Maya Yukihi, 4 Akane Fujita, 3 Mochi Miyagi, 2 Sakushi, and 1, shouldn't be any surprise, Mei Suruga. On Twitter, she just put out her singing Judas from Chris Jericho's song. Really funny. And then the men, this was a tough one, but I came to the conclusion from 15 up. Diamante, Jungle Boy, Moxley at 13 from his promos. 12 Cody, good main events, not the greatest, but I like the Jungle Boy match. 11 is are the Strong Hearts, the great tag match at Peter Pan. 10 Yoshiko, 9 Takashita. 8 is Chris Brooks, just from his overall performances, especially the Mei Suruga match. And then this is all kind of your best performers from King of Gate and your main event from Peter Pan. So 7 Dragon Dia, 6 Ishida, 5 Naruki Doi, 4 Yamato, 3 Masato Tanaka, 2 Tetsuya Endo, and 1 Eita. I went a little with draw power and kayfabe and in importance into my future watching, and that's why I put Eita over Endo. I did like both their matches tremendously. So that does it there. If you want to see a more kind of reasoning on where the total ranking standings and who had moved up and who had moved down in the wrestler rankings, again, go on over to redleafretrocast.blogspot.com. And that will be it for this episode. I will see you next time, everybody.